Thank you, Mr. President. Can you explain how you view, your great healthcare plan will impact Americans' health insurance premiums?
It's going to be it is a tremendous plan. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan. And we're going to get tremendous reductions, as you know, through, if you look at medicines and prescription drugs, they're going to come down by numbers that have never been seen before. And we're doing that by most favored nations. And other nations, whoever pays the lowest in the world, that's what we're going to pay. Right now, we're paying sometimes 10 times higher than other nations. So we have favored nations. That's been approved. Other nations have, for the most part, agreed to it. And they had no choice, otherwise we were going to put tariffs on them. The health care plan that we're coming, the money's going to be paid directly to the people. So it goes directly, not to the companies, not to the insurance companies. It's going to go directly to the people, and the people are going to buy their own health care. They'll get much better health care at a much reduced cost.
Mr. President, pull out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. If it doesn't lead to
well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So, we're talking to NATO.
Mr. President.
Not militarily.
Sorry, guys, you cannot push too much.
I don't talk about that.
Mr. President.
You urged protesters in Iran earlier this week to keep fighting in the streets and said that help was on the way. Is help still on the way, or has your bar
we're going to see. As you know, Iran canceled the hanging of over 800 people. They were going to hang over 800 people yesterday, and I greatly respect the fact that they canceled that.
Mr. President, Prime Minister Carney is in China. Prime Minister Carney is in China. How do you see the deals? Canada and China have just signed trade deals between the two partners.
Well, that's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
Election in Venezuela.
Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Yesterday you accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again. Say it?
What's the trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota? What are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
President, a very nice person at the meeting was, well, why align with Delcy Rodriguez and the remnants of the Maduro regime and not with Machado, who has the support of the Venezuelan people?
Well, if you ever remember a place called Iraq where everybody was fired, every single person, the police, the generals, everybody was fired, and they ended up being ISIS. Instead of just getting down to business, they ended up being ISIS. So I remember that. But I'll tell you, I had a great meeting yesterday by a person who I have a lot of respect for, and she has respect, obviously, for me and our country. And she gave me her Nobel Prize. But I'll tell you what, I got to know her. I never met her before, and I was very, very impressed. She's this is a fine woman.
The March for Life is next week.
Yes.
and some pro-lifers are worried about your support for the Hyde Amendment. What do you tell them?
Well, you know what I tell them? You're going to hear about it because I just taped a beautiful piece for them, and they're going to play it. And those are great people. I want to tell you, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so welcome to what was supposed to be a nice, easy Friday evening. And I think what we're going to have to begin realizing is there's no such thing as a weekend with Donald Trump as president. I had planned like a newsy type show with clips and everything else, but little did I know that President Trump and Melania Trump would schedule not one, not two, not three, but 4 separate appearances today. I don't know if you were able to keep up with them all. That was the smallest one. That one right there of him talking to the reporters, that was the shortest segment of everything he did today. So I've got all this stuff, everything that went on with Melania and Donald Trump today to show you. If you haven't had dinner yet, go ahead and call Uber Eats or something, have them bring it in because we have a whole lot to go over. And most of it won't be me talking because they just kept talking and talking and talking. And so I'm gonna get into that with you real quick before I begin. As a new way we do things here, try to get the ads out early. Patriot Addict is back again. You remember Patriot Addict from last year? And as you know, they're giving away again this incredible, oh, actually it's this one, the Trump signed knife. But with a twist, Patriot Addict took all your feedback from the original Trump red knife and made something way better. This new Trump signature knife here features Trump's signature on a nice black, extremely sharp blade. I mean, this is much sharper. I've shown this to you guys before. It's pretty cool looking. And then here, I don't know, let's see if you can see it. Let me bring it in. You can see the Trump. Oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. You guys can actually see it. You can see Donald J. Trump right there on the blade. It's much sharper. It's nice and sleek, still as big, still as durable as the red knife. But the quality of this knife is amazing, and many people who in the fanfare have gotten this knife, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Normally, this costs $69. Sometimes they had it as high as $70. But it is completely free. All you have to do is pay shipping, which is like 12 or 13 bucks. No product costs, no hidden fees, just a free Trump signed knife to begin 2026. As you know, it's got the window breaker there. It's got a seat belt cutter right there, so you can, if you get stuck in a car, you can do that. It's got one of those flip fast action things that I'm not going to do so I don't cut myself, because like I said, this one's extremely sharp. And this particular one, Robin has gone fishing with it. So it's very, very sharp. You might be wondering why they're doing it. It's their way of saying thank you for last year and getting ready for 2026, as we got a whole lot of stuff planned with them for 2026. So we're going to build even more buzz around their brand. We're going to build the partnership. We're going to bring different products to you. You've seen the blanket. You've seen the hat. You've seen the flag. We got to get a 2026 flag, though, so we're going to work on that. So don't wait. You can either scan the QR code right there, or you can go to berryknife.com. Scan the QR code or go to berryknife.com. And by the way, it's 100% off, which means it's free. Just pay shipping. Just scan the code now, claim your free Trump signed knife today. Or you can go to berryknife.com for 100% off. Well, we get right back here, get back into the show.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so like I was telling you, it's supposed to be nice, easy Friday. Friday's when I do one show, and I wait till, later in the afternoon to put it together. And then all kinds of stuff just started happening. We were working on the house that we're getting ready to put on the market, and Beth and Ashley are working on that. And I'm dealing with guys from the garage door openers, and it was just crazy. And then I started getting messages. Trump's on, Trump's on, Trump's on again. I'm like, oh my God, oh my gosh, how do we deal with this? As he said, he was talking at that first little gaggle when he was talking to the people in the press. Sounded kind of ominous when you heard it, but I greatly respect the fact that all scheduled hangings, which were to take place yesterday, over 800 of them have been canceled by the leadership of Iran. Thank you. Can you imagine that Iran was going to hang 800 people publicly? What kind of barbarism, what kind of insanity does it, number one, take to hang 800 people, and B, watch 800 people get hung? I wouldn't want to just sit there and watch these 800 people get hung. That takes you all back to medieval days, but thankfully they stopped and they didn't kill them. Wow, can't believe he actually had to say that. That's how bad it is. Then he posted this one. In Minnesota, where maybe they should be getting hung, the troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists are in many cases highly paid professionals. I wanted to say something about that when I read it. I think it would do very well for ICE to begin arresting people like they've been doing, ramp it up, and start publishing where the people are from, so we can show the country, so we can show the world these people don't even live here. They don't even reside in the area. They send it in people's backyard and are causing all kinds of problems. Yeah. The governor and mayor don't know what to do. They've totally lost control and are currently being rendered useless. If and when I am forced to act, it will be solved quickly and effectively. So what that is President Trump giving them yet another chance. Do something. They're paralyzed. They can't do anything. I don't know if you guys saw today, but just with the newcomers that have been taken out of Minneapolis, they've already lost one congressional seat. That shows you what this is all about. They've already lost one electoral vote, basically, just by getting people out who aren't supposed to be there. We haven't even got to the fraud yet. We're just getting the people out who aren't supposed to be there, and they dropped an electoral vote. Just that quick. That's probably why both sides are going after it. They need those crazies. They need the Somalis, and we need to get them out. So it's like a perfect storm. That's why Governor Waltz and Jacob Fry haven't come out, because they could end it tomorrow. Stop. Everybody go home. Let ICE do their job. But you're never going to hear that. You're not going to hear that at all, because they need to have these people doing what they're doing. And you saw last night with the video I showed you about Nick Shirley, it was amazing to me watching him with the bravery to walk into some of these places. Just think, any one of those guys there could have done something really bad to him. And the entire community seems to have complete knowledge of what's going on. That's what I found very interesting. As he went from place to place to place, cars were stopping in the middle of the street and coming out and confronting him. There's something really stinky in Minneapolis. I mean, it's stench that's decaying parts of Minnesota, and everybody in town seemed to know what it was. Even the people who weren't Somalis, like, yeah, they're crooks. Yeah, we know they're crooks. They've been crooked since they got here. People at the airport, yeah, they're stealing money. Well, how did everybody know and nobody say anything about it? And now you've got citizen journalists going everywhere and uncovering all kinds of crazy stuff. I saw a video today by Benny Johnson, and he found the address where there was, like, I don't know, X number of people voted, all from the same address, went to the address, and it's a porta potty. There's nothing else there. This is in California. There's nothing there but a porta potty. And these people are all registered to vote at that address. I've seen so many different citizen journalists who are just now being able to just get this data and just go film. And just go out there and say, nah, look, there's nothing here. There's no people here. They've been stealing for decades. I don't know how it ends. And it's funny, CNN comes out today with a poll saying 58% of the country it thinks that Trump's presidency has been a failure. Really? You expect us to believe that? 58%. So you're saying nearly 6 out of every 10 people that you talk to said, oh, it's a complete failure. Well, who the hell are you talking to? Because as of yet, my phone hasn't rang. Not once. Not from any pollster. And I know at least one who's been on the show who has my number. I haven't even been polled by him. He knows I'm MAGA. He's got my number, but for some reason, my phone doesn't ring from him. All this stuff is BS. It's complete BS. You got to know it's BS. You've seen in the chat when people have talked here and said, never been polled. I mean, we have good numbers for some of our videos, and people like, never been polled. Who the hell are you guys talking to? We all have cell phones. We all have voter registrations. Nobody's hiding. I can't hide. Robin's never been called. Nothing. And yet we're supposed to believe all this stuff. And then something else came out today, and it basically just made me just say, F it. I mean, it's taken a lot for me to just basically throw my hands up in the air and say I'm done. But I can't read any more of these headlines. I can't read us, you, me. 2 scammers plead guilty to $68 million Brooklyn adult daycare fraud scheme. I mean, it's every single day. I'm done. I got to talk to the accountant, got to talk to JJ the lawyer, but we got to stop this. There is no way this can continue. We've got to make a stand, one way or the other, without getting people in trouble. I don't want to see anybody get in trouble, but we've got to do something. This is insane. And I think you agree. You probably say to yourself, I've had enough. I don't know what to do. Maybe you might want to take a couple $100 and go talk to an attorney or somebody. Like, I cannot contribute to this anymore. It's basically allowing me to give gasoline to the arsonists so they can continue to pour it on fires. and there's nobody putting it out. One guy's trying to, and he's fighting everybody. It's really bad. This is, they say unsustainable. That's unsustainable. Constant. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. And I've had it. I know you've had it as well. So I'm going to jump into the show because we have so much to show you. And a lot of it, I think the fluff part was already done. The rest of this is just stuff you should hear. Now, last night, after we talked, and we did a lot of talk about prosperity, and if you didn't see it, you should go watch it. Somebody emailed me, and I'm not going to say her name, but it was just the most sweetest email, one of the sweetest emails I've ever seen. And the woman said, I'm 62 years old. I have limited skills on a computer, but finally, what you've been saying is starting to click. And she's like, can you direct me to some information that I can learn about AI? And I found it odd that I got that email, and then today, unannounced, another event comes up, and it's Melania talking about AI for kids and the big push that she's having to push, and do stuff with AI. And I've seen so many, well, I don't say so many, but I've seen people in the chat who get upset. I don't trust it. It's evil. Instead of saying, it's here. There is no way we're putting this genie back in a bottle. You either learn it, understand it, begin utilizing it, or you're going to be left at the bus stop. There are no other choices. I mean, literally no other choices with where this thing is going. Remember the puck, the whole puck that's flying over there? You're not even watching the hockey game if you don't start understanding and delving into AI. Now, you may be retired. You may say, I can turn off a computer tomorrow and never turn it back on. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Live your life. Everybody else, jump in. Deep end very quickly. Listen to this.
Well, First Lady Melania Trump is making artificial intelligence in our schools a top priority. This hour, she's hosting a virtual K-12 AI literacy event on Zoom to help students understand how AI, quote, can be used responsively, creatively, and confidently.
AI doesn't replace people. AI doesn't dream. People do. And that's why humans still lead. When I was a kid, I loved science fiction. I dreamed about video calls and a future where technology almost felt magical. Ideas that once seemed impossible. And now, you use those things every day. That's what happens when humans imagine, and technology helps. You are growing up with AI. That means you understand it better than anyone before you. Some teachers and parents feel unsure about AI, and that's normal. Every new technology feels that way at first.
And he's right. When we first got radio, and then we first got television, oh my God, we can't watch television. And then, of course, then we got computers, and then we didn't even have these things. We had the big brick like they had on Miami Vice. Things progressed, and we got comfortable. And I've told you, this is the age of being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that's one of the problems right now. We've been able to, people my age, maybe some of you are older, we've been able to get a handle on everything. We've had the time to go, yeah, I understand a fax machine. I use a fax machine. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I understand how to put a CD in the system to play some music. Oh, wait a minute, we're not using fax machines anymore? Oh, email, yeah. I used to have an AOL email, and I progressed and got my own domain name. Yeah, I had that. Oh, no more CDs. We're doing MP3s. Oh yeah, I like Napster and I like sharing music. And now you have Apple, whatever. I don't have Apple. I just have the ability to get music. Oh, YouTube, this thing YouTube, it makes videos and people can post videos. I wonder if that's going to work. I wonder if people are going to continue posting videos. I wonder how the masses will get with posting videos. Oh, now they're making these little micro videos that are like 10 or 20 seconds on this thing called TikTok. I wonder if that's going to work. Wait a minute. Facebook is now doing Reels. Those are 20 seconds as well. Wow. I didn't know that. Now I can scroll all day and find out what the family's doing in 20-second increments. Now this thing called AI is showing up, and now you're concerned? Tell me why now you have any concern. You've just gone through what I would consider the building blocks of AI. We could not have gotten to where AI is today without all the stuff I just mentioned. And so I wonder all of a sudden why people are pumping the brakes when were you afraid of YouTube? Were you afraid of MTV? Were you afraid of the remote on your television? Remember, these are things we didn't have growing up. So you got this thing. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Microwaves? Oh, we can't use microwaves. The house is going to burn down. Why now are people pulling back? Because they didn't have years to acclimate themselves. It just, bam, it's here. Bam, 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 bam. Everybody's using it. And so it is frightening. But perhaps you should let other people's fear excite you. I heard that today from somebody. I think you're going to hear it. Because when I heard that, I was like, that's it. Somebody you're going to see says those words. I now let other people's fear excite me. And I'm thinking, that's phenomenal.
But something interesting happens when people really understand it. Fear starts to fade. AI can feel scary, but it can also create new opportunities for learning and growth. The difference is how you use it. As a father, education matters more to me than ever. I don't want technology to replace people. I want it to support them. AI won't replace the amazing things you will do. Instead, it can help you do things no one could do before. Humans dream up the ideas. Technology works behind the scenes to help bring those ideas to life. That's the whole idea. AI is for everyone, each and every one of you. And you are not figuring this out alone. Parents, teachers, the whole Zoom team, and even a few powerful people dedicated to education and the future of kids are here today to join in the conversation. That brings me to a special introduction. The First Lady, Melania Trump, and I are championing this webinar because we believe young people should have access to AI, along with guidance on how to use it wisely. The First Lady is a strong advocate for education. Her work on fostering the future together at the United Nations and her leadership of the Presidential AI Challenge are examples of this commitment. The First Lady has explored innovative ways to engage with AI. And boy, does she have a lot of projects going on, from speaking to fashion, and from business to serving communities. She even has an upcoming film release on January 30, which is not AI generated. In this webinar, the First Lady and I have brought together educators, companies, and organizations committed to AI and to preparing young people for the future, always with students at the center of the conversation. Please join me in welcoming the First Lady of the United States Melania Trump.
Melania Trump, First Lady of the United States, is passionate about AI and education. She's leading the White House Task Force on AI and Education. Her efforts include launching the Presidential AI Challenge for K-12 students. AI also plays a role across her work, from entrepreneurial initiatives and an audiobook to an upcoming film. And now, she's teaming up with Zoom to bring her enthusiasm, advocacy, and dedication to empowering and protecting kids so that they can grow up and be tomorrow's leaders and zoom ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Yuan. Zoom's leadership in the tech ad space is unmatched. Your support directly advances my mission to prepare America's next generation to use AI to enhance their education and ultimately their careers. Indeed, this is an incredible time. We are living in the age of imagination. The age of imagination is a new era powered by artificial intelligence, where one's curiosity can be satisfied almost magically in seconds. You are fortunate to have the capability to fulfill your dreams through the power of learning, with AI serving as the primary engine for creative exploration. History reminds us that curiosity is the driving force behind every great achievement. The world's greatest minds, our writers, architects, scientists, and painters, all had endless interest about human nature, and they all questioned that which was yet to be answered. Are you ready to produce your own movie? Do you want to build the next dress to impress empire? Have you ever wondered how to become the next master artist? Create your own song. Every giant, at some point in time, questions the status quo. Their singular vision pushes humanity in a new direction. Artificial intelligence is changing today's world, and your curiosity should serve as a driving force. For the first time in history, the young girl dreaming of becoming a fashion designer and the young boy who wants to stand up his school animated superhero series can do so from their own home. Artificial intelligence provides all the tools needed to implement your creative vision today. You can develop movie characters, scripts, fashion, music, art, the entire ecosystem, all with AI. But what do you need to start? You need to harness your imagination. In the new era, the most powerful skill is knowing what to ask, why it matters, and how to think beyond the worst answer. I encourage you to be stubbornly curious, think outside the box, and question everything. Creators must stretch their minds to think differently. The world of possibility is endless, and AI is extending the conceptual in ways never dreamed of before. In the past, memorization unlocked opportunity. Today, your curiosity will open new doors to meaning, innovation, and leadership. But we must remember, although artificial intelligence can generate images and information, only humans can generate meaning and purpose. Deep thinking, patience, and staying curious are where purpose begins. Today, I urge you to take action. Use AI to unlock new parts of your imagination. Lead with your ideas, stay sharp, but remember, never surrender your thinking to AI. Choose to let your imagination drive your intellectual progress, but never use AI as a quick solution. Be intellectually honest with yourself. Use AI as a tool, but do not let it replace your personal intelligence. Pursue understanding with passion like no generation before. Make an impact. Knowledge is power. Nobody can take it away from you. Good luck, and I wish you a successful year ahead.
First Lady, for being such an advocate for the next generation. I thought I felt young, but all of this AI talk is making me feel old, really old. I have a lot to learn today along with all of you. Now, because we don't want anyone to say we haven't done our homework, see what I did there? We asked a bunch of kids, what is AI? And some of the answers, well, see for yourself.
AI is like a platform that you can use to make up anything. I don't know.
I think AI is a tool that can help you create images, help you with your math homework.
Stuff that's fake.
AI is the most revolutionary technology that we're probably ever going to see in our lifetimes.
I'm assuming it's some sort of computer processing unit.
It's a creation on computers, which means you have to have a lot of intelligence on it.
It's just a big robot telling you what to do.
Definitely. It has access to the whole entire internet.
If I learned everything, I could be smarter than AI.
I'm smarter.
Allowing people to do what they do best. It's expanding on our humanity.
Probably the coolest thing I've seen is the pandas. The baby pandas, because I love the baby pandas.
A cheetah holding a baby, bringing it to a girl in a zoo.
It all depends on how a person uses it, whether for the greater good or for the worse.
The only thing that freaks me out is I don't want people to come too reliant on it.
I would make myself go into a Premier League soccer match and save a few shots.
I would make a time machine.
That would make it do all my assignments.
I would make it a chicken making machine.
The first.
I would make it a chicken making machine, she says. There's an imagination for you. There's imagination for you right there. You know, looking at the poll, it's still running. And 60% of you so far have said, yes, you have used Grok, ChatGPT, or Gemini, or one of the others. 31% no said, I haven't done it, but I want to try. And 9% of you still have horses and buggies. I say that with a grin because I am not going to push you or try to be you to bring this horse to water. You are obviously, if you're in that 9% that's like, never going to do it, then pretty much at this point, you probably didn't get, a smartphone or a computer, any of that stuff, which is kind of odd when you think about it. 9% of you said, or now it's 9 again, that you'll never use AI, but you don't realize you're already using it. See, that's the problem is since you won't try to use it, you are now going to become a spectator of usage, I'll say. It's already being used on you. You don't realize it because you're not educating yourself on what it's being used for. It's not going away. People will indeed lose their jobs. They will indeed lose status, all kinds of things. Most of it because of ignorance. They just don't want to do it. See, there's a lot of things we don't like to do. We don't like to eat beets. We don't like to eat liver. I don't. Those are things we choose not to eat, and there's no way that liver, unless I'm taking a liver pill, is getting in my body. Well, you can't do that with AI. You can't get away from it. Well, I guess you could go to a mountainside up in the hills of the Smokies and get a tent, but then somebody with a drone can find a heat seeking on you and see where you are. But other than that, barring you completely unplugging, walking over and just going, boom, I'm not doing this anymore. And I know you're not at that stage because you're watching. So at that point, the fact that you are watching this video, you are already a unwilling user of AI. There are hosts I saw at the end of the year, Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, in case you don't know him, he's a podcaster, conservative podcaster, and he spent the entire month of December, he took it off, and he created AI Dave. And every single day during December, AI Dave would monitor his videos. I don't know how many people realize this. They were sharing it all around. I don't think you realize that how many videos you're watching on YouTube and X are already AI. I'm not talking about the ones that are obvious, like, the hippopotamus driving a car or something. I'm talking about stuff that you consume. And how do I know this? Because people share stuff with me, and I'm like, they don't know that's fake. They think that's real. They think that article is real. They think that that person who posted that is real. You have to be very careful if you don't want to be able to use AI to discern what AI is doing.
Lady has led the administration's efforts on AI, launching the nationwide Presidential Artificial Intelligence Challenge. Now, she's capping off a busy year working on behalf of children. The First Lady secured $25 million for foster care housing, reunited Ukrainian children and families separated in Russia's war via a direct letter to President Putin, and launched a global coalition on education at the United Nations General Assembly. I think, Josh, that this is a really incredible effort on her part. We have seen a tremendous amount of lawsuits brought on behalf of mourning family members at the hands of teens and younger who have died by suicide because of the toxic effects, they argue, of AI. And frankly, I'm a proponent of such. So hopefully now this will help get the message out, helping to educate kids on how to use AI, as she says, responsibly and confidently.
Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful tool. It's here to stay. There's no avoiding it. It's going to happen. It's going to be a part of our future. I think for that reason, it's important to educate kids about it. But two, there's a danger to it, as you point out, that there's this kind of sinister side that if you don't understand how to use it properly, I mean, it's hard to think of it being dangerous when it's just a computer program, but it really is the way that it can interact with someone. But I'm all for this. We were just.
See, I love how thinking people are saying, yeah, it most assuredly can be dangerous. There's so many different things. Can you print up a 3D rendering of a gun? It will do what you ask it to do. It's the person that has to have the ability to discern what right from wrong, which we've seen. There's plenty of people who don't know that. I spoke to a lawyer 2 days ago who has all of his pretrial motions now written by Grok. If once you begin to understand how to use prompts, the prompts are going to do so much for you. So the woman who emailed me, and she asked me, basically, how do you start? Well, you log in. And when you log in, you don't need to buy a course. You don't need to do any of that stuff. You can actually go into Grok or Chat GPT and say, what's the best way for me to become comfortable and knowledgeable about using AI? What can I read that'll help me get better with my prompts? And it's right there. And it's funny when people say to me, not funny, but when the lady said, how do I learn? I'm like, it's right in front of you. It's waiting for you. It just sits there until you give it a command. Videos, pictures, legal work, medical work, prescription processing. I mean, the what's being used at this point is just absolutely phenomenal. And so if you'd like to learn, the easiest way to learn is ask it. Now, somebody had posted something earlier in the chat, and they're like, I'm not going to use ChatGPT or Grok anymore because it's woke. You ask the question. It only knows to go out and find the information. I don't know if I'd ever use Grok for political purposes. There's too much information. But if, what's the quickest way at 6 p.m. to get to Miami? Thank you. How many calories are in a Big Mac? And what's my alternative if I have arthritis? If you're using your mind, you will find the application. And it's not all just about politics. I don't need Grok for politics. I got my eyes. I can see people run around Minnesota in the snow.
Talking about how much we're starting to use ChatGPT instead of regular search engines for doing everyday things. It's becoming a part of our lives. It's going to become a bigger part of our lives. We should understand how to use it responsibly.
And the sensitivity and vulnerability of our kids, Cheryl, cannot be overstated. And here especially, the potential for that influence, the consequences could be dire.
Well, and what the First Lady talks about is watchful guidance, and that is to the parent. That AI is here to stay, whether it's in robotics, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it is on your laptop, your smartphone. In the classroom, AI is everywhere. And there is a lot of wonderful tools that AI offers that will help our society actually grow and expand. And she has actually said that herself as she's been working on this platform since August of last year. What they're doing now, and this is not just Zoom, but it's 60 organizations that are all working together to make sure that the train's down the tracks, folks. Mm-hmm. AI is happening. Mm-hmm. So
that's a common refrain that these ladies had. It's here. You can't think about, it sucks, we shouldn't be doing it. It's here. It's too late. And that's the point I'd like to hammer home in my commenting on this is it's too late to worry. It's sort of like people who are worried about buying silver or gold. It's too late to worry. The ship and it's only getting better. It's only getting stronger. And I'm not advocating or pushing people into it. I'm saying you might want to do this if you want to do some other things and get better, and possibly if, someday you want to profit from it. I noticed on a chat, a woman said she had stroke and she's using it to help write a book. Perfect. Hey, I've got my experiences. How do I put these experiences into chapters and prose and work on the outline of the book? And then as she digs in, she's going to say, can you compare my script, my thesis, to this book that was written in 1999 that sold 5 million copies? And can you give me some suggestions based upon this book on how I should write my book? And it will go analyze it and say, you should change chapter 2, make that chapter 4. And based upon this, you see that the whole thing with it is you have to imagine. And I love the fact that woman said that she's going to write a book about her stroke. Man, there is so much information about that. So many people have had strokes. Hey, Grok, ChatGPT, what are the top 50 questions that people who have lived through a stroke have in regards to the rest of their life? What food can they eat? What food should they stay away from? What exercises can they do at home? Your mind is the only restriction.
How do you craft it? How do you make it safe? Because it's not just the United States, but it's also happening in China. It's also happening in Europe. It can be a wonderful expansion of their lives, and it can be a tool in their lives as they grow up and become adults and become members of our community and the next generation of business leaders. That's what she wants to see, and I applaud it.
Which is an empowering happening.
You know, responsible use. And a lot of people, by the way, really happy to see Melania out there and getting involved in so many.
I'm one of them.
So many different things. And you could tell people like her because when.
See, that's one of the other questions. When I see people who say, I don't like it, I'm going to stay away from it, never going to touch it, it's the devil's handiwork, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're here, I guess you're MAGA. And if you're MAGA, you support President Trump. And if you support President Trump, he and his wife are pushing it. He has said, we're going to win the AI race, and Melania is working with the younger people. I never I never not want to feel I'm too old. You see, I've seen relatives who have had Alzheimer's, and these were, vibrant people. And then all of a sudden things didn't start working right, and they succumbed to Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I know at my age, and Robin knows, we're doing everything we can to make sure the synapses keep firing. It's not foolproof, but I'm not taking my foot off the gas and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go sit in front of a television for 12 hours a day. No, I want to keep giving stimuli to this noggin. And then I'd like to profit from it. I don't feel any problem with saying I use AI because I want to profit from AI. I want it to show me what should I do here, here, and here in order to make more money here, here, and here. Hey, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, show me the hottest selling zip codes in Miramar, Florida, with homes over $700,000 that have sold in under 20 days. Now show me all the ones that are available right now, and show me how long they've been on the market. And now I have a hit list. Took me literally 5 minutes. Show me the tax base for all these 5, 6, 7 houses. Okay, got that. Show me how many of them have open permits or code violations. Got that. These are things that used to take me hours to sit there and go from database to database to database. Show me other investors in this neighborhood or within this zip code who have purchased the properties for cash. Instant buyers list. I could do this literally for an hour. I'm actually using those kind of prompts. People have asked me, hey, what are you doing with real estate right now? I just told you. I don't need to get in the car anymore. I used to have to do what they called it, driving for dollars. You drive around and look at the neighborhood. Nope, don't need to do it. Show me all the houses with code violations because they haven't, mowed their lawn, and it'll show me. Then I can dig even deeper. Show me the people, the banks, the private investors who have lent on these properties and at what percentage loan to value they've lent. Now I got a list of people who lend me money. Once you start realizing all of the information that's at your disposal that normally would take you time to do it, then you realize, wow, I can be profitable here. Yeah, exactly. And I only said that, I only went off on that tangent because I see people like, I can't do this. I can't. Yeah, you can. Like the video said, you're only limited by your imagination and your drive.
She had her book. It was #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I don't know how many weeks. But anyway, getting back to responsible use. When you say AI, probably the parents of those kids are nervous. They're going to lose their jobs. AI is coming for you. These kids need to learn how to use it in a responsible way.
Wait. She's right. If you knew there was a bigger, I want to go back to a football analogy. You're like, who's that dude? Oh, he's a new freshman. He's a new free agent. What position's he playing? Oh, he plays your position. Oh, hell no. Oh, okay. So I either take this guy on and get better, or I'm out of work. I'm done. Hang him up. That's what, she doesn't realize maybe that's what she's saying, but your competition is now going to be coming for you.
So I never disguise my excitement around leaning into things that people think that they fear, and this is just one of them.
That's who said it. And that, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh my. I'm always excited about leaning into things that other people fear. I hope I run up against investors in buying real estate who fear AI. I can't wait to find those pockets, those properties, those neighborhoods where nobody else is using AI. I get excited about that. She's absolutely right. I get excited about people who aren't arming themselves to the hilt, whether it be through weaponry or knowledge. I get excited. Absolutely thrilled. Hope you guys do too. I'm going to move on now because we've talked about AI a bit, and I still got a whole bunch to show you. I believe this is President Trump's roundtable now with rural health. And there's some things in here that you might not have seen if you've seen this before that I plugged in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
This is a very important one today. We've worked on it long and hard. For years, they've been working on it. And I see Kevin's in the audience, and I just want to thank you. You were fantastic on television today. I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth.
It depends on what you think a large institutional investor is. That there are some definitions that it's people who own more than 100 homes, some definitions that it's people who own more than 1,000 homes. But if you go...
This is Kevin Hassett, who is all over television today talking about the economy and the Trump economy and what they've been doing. And so I inserted a couple of the clips from some of the shows that he was on because President Trump, before he even started the meeting, dude, you were phenomenal. You were just badass. And so that, as soon as I heard Trump say that, I was like, okay, hit pause. Go see what Kevin did today. And that's what this is.
Go to the 100-home definition, then you're looking at, in some places, up to 20% of the market is owned by institutions. Now, the institutions have a tax advantage over ordinary home buyers in the sense that they get to write off the depreciation on the home as they're holding it and renting it. And so it basically makes like the tax rules put people out of the running when they want to compete with an institutional investor. And it's something that President Trump just doesn't think is right. And I think that what we're likely to see is an executive order that describes what an institutional investor is, what a single-family home is, and then when that comes out, there'll be a clear guidance to people about when they can feel free that they're, playing on a level playing field when they're competing for a home.
All right. So we just spent 20 minutes talking about AI. Given what he just said there, what prompt would you use if you were looking to do some investing in real estate? What prompt would you now write based on what he just said? Tick, 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 tick. Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, please show me all the institutional investors. Though institutional investor is anyone owning more than 5 or 10 properties in this box right here. And tell me when they bought them. Tell me how much they spent. And I would develop that prompt because now I know if President Trump is about to come out with an executive order, and that executive order is you can't own 20 houses and you're at 25, who do you think I'm calling? Who do you think I'm knocking on the door to? Hey, you're sitting on 25 houses. Trump's about to do something. He's going to take the opportunity away from you. What do you think? We can cut a deal. I'll get you down to 24 at least. Maybe I'll get you down to 23. Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. You want to cash out before he makes you cash out? See, the whole thing about back to AI is understanding what you hear in real life. I heard Kevin just say that. Hey, listen, we're going to make sure that you can't do this. Okay, well, that tells me as soon as I heard it, well, they're going to have to get rid of their properties, aren't they? They're going to have to liquidate. Yeah, so that's a perfect example.
And so our expectation is that you're going to have the biggest refund season ever, which is going to be a significant positive stimulus for the economy. But I will add a non-inflationary stimulus because we've got all the supply going up too. We've got $18 trillion in new factory construction and so on. And so I think that it's really, the Trump golden age is going to be tested, the theory of it this year. And I think it's looking pretty good.
This 10% cap on credit card interest rates obviously has the banks talking, and a lot of them are very worried about this. This new potential card cap could wipe out the earnings from the card portfolios for a year. Those are the expectations there. If applied to all cards, analysts say it would hurt large bank pre-tax earnings by between 5 and 18%, and wipe out earnings for the monolines like a Cap One Financial. Your thoughts on the president putting this in place? Obviously, Congress would have to codify this for law. Will these banks be forced to follow this?
Well, I think, we've been in conversations with the big banks, with CEOs of many of the big banks, who think that the president's onto something, that he's got a great idea that they could potentially voluntarily provide for people who are in that sort of sweet spot of not having financial leverage very much because they don't have access to credit, but they have enough income and stability in their lives so that they're worthy of credit. And so our expectation is that it won't necessarily require legislation because there'll be really great new Trump cards presented for folks that are voluntarily provided by the banks.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. That people are going to be able to have a lot lower credit so that they'll have more disposable income. And so somebody who is viable, a viable mortgage buyer, and you want to buy something, but you can't because you're overextended because you got to pay 28% interest. Well, if I lower the interest rate to 10, now your payments become much lower, which then gives you more money to spend. The stuff he's doing is absolutely brilliant. Like I keep telling you, there's two ways to lower debt. Don't use it or get more money. And he's allowing people to now get a cheaper debt, and that'll increase the amount of money they have at the disposable income. See, it's pretty simple. I can't go to the movies today. Why? Because now you can't put that money into the economy. I'm sorry, I'm stretched. All of my money's allocated till the end of the month. You tell your buddies. But now instead of having a $75 credit card payment, you might have a, $35 car payment. That gives you an extra $40 a month. Not a whole lot, but you can see, depending on the balances, what you can do. You've got more disposable income. And hopefully you're not using more than a third of your credit card balance.
Kevin Hassett is so good. I'm saying, wait a minute. If I move them, these Fed guys, certainly the one we have now, they don't talk much. I would lose you. It's a serious concern to me. So I just want to say thank you very much. You've done incredible. We don't want to lose him, Susie. But we'll see how it all works out, okay? Thank you, Kevin. Great job.
I mean, to me, before he even started the roundtable and talking about health, he made it a point, that dude right there. And so that should also tell you, when you find videos of Kevin speaking, listen. President Trump likes this guy. He likes what he's saying on TV. He's thanking him publicly, which means what he's saying is very important to President Trump and the economy.
And thank you for all being here as we discuss the largest investment in rural health care in American history. This is the big one. We're delighted to be joined by many incredible members of the healthcare community, including doctors, nurses, and pharmacists from all across America. We're also very happy to have with us some very talented people. A man who is really good at this, extremely non-controversial, which is, I wanted somebody non-controversial, so I chose Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. to head the whole shebang up. And he also happens to be a great guy. Brooke Rollins, who's doing a fantastic job at agriculture, and thank you. And how are the prices coming?
They're coming, sir, they're coming down.
Don't forget, we inherited a mess.
We sure did.
Remember eggs? They were up 4 times higher than they ever were. And in my first day, they said, what are you going to do about eggs? I said, I didn't cause the problem. We didn't cause, we inherited a mess, but the prices are coming down.
Yes, sir. Wholesale prices are down 86%. Retail a little bit less than that, but yes, you're making America affordable again.
With you in charge, I have no doubt, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, a really good man, a really brilliant guy, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Oz. And thank you also to Governor Jim Pillen, Senator Dan Sullivan, and Representatives Rob Bresnahan, Mike Lawler, John McGuire, and Nick Begich. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it very much. And we have other congressmen here, I see, and a couple of senators, and we appreciate everybody being here. Everyone wants to be a part of this. It's so important. It's maybe, I don't know, for many people, there's nothing more important. I would say maybe defense. We need defense, and we need offense too, by the way. As part of the great big beautiful bill, we're increased, and we have increased funding for the health care by an unprecedented $50 billion. That's rural health care. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and we got it done. So we have rural health care for those that were trying to make a case that we weren't taking care of the rural community. I'm all about the rural community. We won the rural communities by numbers that nobody's ever won them before, and we're taking care of those great people. So we already did this. We increased funding for rural health care by an unprecedented, record-setting $50 billion over 5 years, which will benefit Americans in all 50 states. And this made possible and was made possible by cutting massive waste, fraud, and abuse from Medicaid and reinvesting those funds to revitalize hospitals and our cherished rural communities and hospitals in rural communities. And I want to say, with all of the fraud that we're seeing in Minnesota and California and other places, I actually think that if we do an unbelievable job, you could almost balance your budget, Kevin. If you take a look at the kind of numbers you're talking about, nobody ever saw anything like it. They're all corrupt politicians, from the governor of Minnesota to the governor of California to everybody. They're just corrupt politicians. And you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud, waste fraud and abuse. But in fraud, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Under the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, it's called the unaffordable. It is unaffordable. Remember that. Rural hospitals in communities were devastated by soaring costs, and that continues. Despite colossal increases in government spending since Obamacare was passed, only 7% of the annual Medicaid spending on rural hospitals has gone to rural hospitals. So there's only a very little. They didn't care. Obama didn't care about the rural community, to be totally blunt. What he did care about is insurance companies. And this was a bill to make insurance companies wealthy. And they did. They made insurance companies very wealthy. I would say they don't like me too much because they spent hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're going to have that money spent to the people and given to the people. Not, we're going to circumvent the insurance companies. Partially as a result, rural healthcare facilities have suffered from low occupancy rates, workforce shortages, and failing programs that put Band-Aids, literally put Band-Aids over the problems in those communities. And we're not going to have that. We're taking great care of them. With the Rural Health Transformation Program, we are getting rural communities the health support they need, and we're getting it immediately. These funds will go to empowering rural hospitals, strengthening their workforce, modernizing facilities and technology, and ensuring that rural Americans get world-class health care in their own community, right smack in their own community, like they've never had it before. And they've been hurt very badly by the Unaffordable Care Act. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against the Lifeline for rural communities. And I hope everyone knows this, and this is not about elections, but I hope you remember this in the midterms, because the Democrats are just so horrible toward the rural community. But I want to take a moment to thank the incredible House and Senate Republicans who worked so hard on making this historic investment possible. That's what they did, and they did work hard. I don't think, got a Democrat vote, did we? Did we get one Democrat vote? We got all Republican votes. It was an amazing feat, and I want to thank Mike, our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and John Thune for really doing a great job. It was tough. You know, we have small majorities, and I want to thank the congressmen that are here for doing, in particular, for working so hard and getting this done. Yesterday, I also announced our framework to lower health care prices for all Americans, including those in rural America. And we're calling it the Great Health Care Plan. You know, we had to come up with a name, and everybody wanted to say, oh, well, can we put something about lowering costs, because we're lowering costs very substantially. So I had Bobby, and I had Oz, we had everybody in there. We had a whole group of people, and we're trying to come up with, so saying, the cost reduction plan that gives you good health care. And I said, it's too long, it's not going to sell. I said, we had more plans. And they wanted to get the words cost reduction in there, Lola, especially you. They wanted cost reduction in, and then they wanted great health care in. I said, look, you can have one or the other, but it gets too long. We're talking about the name of a plan. So we got it down to 7 or 8 words, and which is far too long. Nobody can remember that much. And I said, how about just call it, because this is the Great Health Care Plan. Now, a great plan has to be cost effective, otherwise it can't be a great plan. That's the way I looked at it. So we have a very glamorous name. It's called the Great Health Care Plan, not the Unaffordable Care Act. I don't like that name. This is called officially the Great Health Care Plan. That means low price and great health care. So you're going to have, at a lower price, great health care. First, our proposal codifies the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation provisions. Okay, we can go into this. We can go into this for hours, but the bottom line is we'll be paying the lowest price of any nation in the world. Whoever's paying the lowest, we match it. This could have been done years ago. I was going to do it in my first administration, but when COVID came toward the end, I said, I can't believe it wasn't exactly a good time to be doing it. But I said, why isn't somebody doing it? And the reason they're not doing it is that no other nation would agree. France, as an example, paid 10% of what we paid. Germany was paying 13 or 14% what we paid. In other words, we paid many times more, not a little bit more, not 10% more, 10 times more. A pill would cost 10 times more in New York than it would cost in London, as an example, than it would cost in Munich. And this went on for many decades. This was right from the beginning. And the reason it went on was a little bit of the healthcare companies, but it was other nations, and I understand that. If I were heading Germany, I'm not going to double and triple and quadruple my healthcare. They got the healthcare companies to pay. It just took place over a long period of time, got worse and worse, and it just hit numbers that were just absolutely unsaleable. And if you remember, the doctors in the audience remember, they said, well, we have to do research and development. I said, well, what about research and development for Germany? Well, we've decided to put up so the pill would cost 5 times more because of research and development, and 5 times more for other reasons. They had all these phony reasons. And finally, I said to the healthcare companies, we can't do it anymore. We can't do it. And it started, really, I tell the story. It wasn't meant to be funny. People find it funny. But a friend of mine who's a very smart guy, very, very rich, very powerful man, actually,
but he was very fat. And he took the fat, I call it the fat drug. I won't give you which one. It was Ozempic. I won't tell you that. And he went to London on one of his many business trips. It's all he does is business. He can't walk across the street, but he's a great businessman. And he said, President, I said, what? He used to call me Donnie. Now he calls me President. So I said, you've come a long way. He goes, but I have a problem. What's your problem? In New York, I pay $1,300 for this drug. Now, this means nothing to him. This is like a penny out of your wallet. The guy's worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. He said, and in London, sir, I pay just a fraction of that. I said, what are you paying? $87. I said, well, is it the same drug? I knew exactly what he was getting at because it bothered me for a long time. He said, it's the exact same drug. And because of his wealth and his business smarts, he had a check. It was made in the same plant by the same company. It's identical. And here I pay $87, and in New York I pay $1,300. So it was too much to bear. Because after I told him that the drug does not work on him, because I saw him recently, he's actually fatter than ever. I said, the drug is not working on you. You're going to have to go to something else. But it does work on a lot of people. And he said, thanks, you make me feel good. I said, well, I got to be truthful. You always tell the truth, right, Mr. Congressman? Oh, look, two of the great congressmen. But the drug, we have to do something about it because that's the same with I would say, Bobby, every drug, essentially. Doesn't have to be in that proportion. In some cases, it's much worse. Because what happened, I might as well get off this crap because it doesn't explain it properly. Because what happened is these countries are very smart, and the drug companies would go to them and they said, look, we're paying $10 for the pill. We're not paying more. Charge America. Mm-hmm. And this happened one time, then the next year. This is over 40 years. All of a sudden, they're paying $10 for a pill, and we're paying like $130 for the same pill. It just happened over years, slowly. And it got to a point over the last 10, 12, 15 years where it just was unbearable. And I went to a great executive at Eli Lilly, the top man. He's a very smart guy. And I confronted him, and he had the same line that they always had, research and development. I said, look, we got to stop this nonsense. We're paying 10 times more for things in Europe. It's not research and development. And if it is research and development, they should pay their fair share of that too. And he said to me, and he's a great guy, he said, look, you're right, we can't defend it anymore. I said, you're admitting it? Because these guys had all of them. They must have taken a class together. It's probably illegal what they did, Lola, you'll check it, right? They must have gone to school together and said, this is the way we're going to fight this crazy thing where the United States pays 10, 12, 13 times more for a drug. Same drug made in the same plant. And he said, here's the problem we have. The nations are brutal. When we go in and say, we have to give you an increase, they say, no, put it on America, we're not paying you anything. And they say it with such power, and they actually shut us off from selling the drug. And it just happened over and over again. It got a little worse, a little worse, a little worse. All of a sudden, we're paying many times more for the same. I said, it's not going to happen anymore. He said, the problem is, sir, you'll never get the nations to agree. It's impossible. They're very tough, and they are. And they'd have to agree to a doubling or tripling of their drug prices in order to get you down, because the world is a bigger place than us. So it's not like you cut it in half. Actually, if they raised it a little bit, we'd go down a lot. You understand that? I think people understand that. So you raise it like from $10 to $20 or $10 to $30, but we'd go from 130 down to 30 or down to 20. So, because the numbers are much bigger, the numbers on their side are much bigger. So they'd need a doubling or tripling or quadrupling. Now, if you're the head of France, the last thing you want to do is say, I'm going to quadruple the cost of a drug. And that's the way it is. But I said, I know, but it's not fair. And this is taking place. And the head of Eli Lilly, and I really mean it, an unbelievable executive, an unbelievable guy, one of the most successful companies, and who's, by the way, spending hundreds of billions of dollars right now. He told me the other day, he's building 6 major plants in the United States. You know why he's doing that? Because of tariffs. He's doing that because of tariffs. Without tariffs, he wouldn't be doing it. Nobody understood tariffs until I came along. Nobody understood, other than President McKinley. He understood them a long time ago. And because of him, we were the richest nation that we ever were at that period of time. And then when he died, he was assassinated. Teddy Roosevelt came over and he inherited a war chest, and he built the Panama Canal, which is the single most expensive thing ever built in the history of the United States, relatively. We spent what would be the equivalent of $5 trillion building the Panama Canal. It was also the most successful thing probably we've ever built, and to this day. And then Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1. This is the same theory we have on favored nations. The great Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, gave it away for $1. We lost 38,000 men. In those days it was men. I hate to say this, but mostly men. They didn't have a lot of women workers on the Panama Canal. But we lost 38,000 people. They died from malaria and snake bites. It was a combination of that, a vicious snake, one of the most vicious. You get hit, you're dead. They died from snake bites. 38,000. They paid workers from the United States 3 times more than they made to come over to Panama and dig. For many of them, that was not a good deal. They died, 38,000. We gave it away for that. But that same stupidity having to do with the Panama Canal, and I could tell you about 100 other stories too. You don't have time. But that's what went into this whole thing with favored nations. So Europe and other nations all over the world were getting drugs from the same plant, same factory, same everything, same location, everything, same company, for a tiny fraction of what we're paying. So our people were paying a tremendous amount. So the gentleman from Eli Lilly and others, we had a meeting, and they all finally put up their hands. You got us. We give up. And they were great from that time. But we had a problem. The other nations weren't going for it. France turned it down. Germany turned it down. UK turned it down. European Union turned it down, the whole group. And they said, there's nothing you can do about it, sir. And I said, yes, there is. No, there isn't. You'll never be able to get them up. Or never. I mean, the whole industry is going to be torn apart. I said, we'll get them up easily. Are you crazy? Of course we'll get them up. That's what I do for a living. I get people up. So I started with President Macron of France, and a very nice person. I like him a lot. I hope he's listening because he doesn't believe that, but I do. He's a nice man. And I said, Emmanuel, yes, Donald, thank you so much for calling. Oh, I said, you're not going to like this call. You're going to have to get your drug prices up. No, I will not do that. I said, Emmanuel, we're paying 13 times more than, 13 times, not 13%, 13 times more than you are for this pill. I rattled off some numbers that are crazy. You know the numbers I'm talking about, Oz. Oz would give me some numbers. I'd say, this is crazy. We're paying 10 times, 12 times, 13 times. No, I will not do that. I said, look, you've got to do it. 100% you're going to do it. No, Donald, I told you I will not do that. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. If you don't do it, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on all goods, wine, champagnes, and everything else coming into the United States of America. He said, Donald, I would love to do this for you. It would be a great honor to do it. And that's where it began. And I went through country after country. Susie was responsible for getting every one of those leaders on the thing. Susie, by the way, stand up, Susie. She is doing such a good job. She's the first female chief of staff, and she might be the best chief of staff too, but she's doing a great job. Thank you, Susie. So Susie got him on, and I just went one after another. I called Germany. No, we will not do that. I said, no, we're going to put a 25% tariff, which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by raising the drug, like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more, 7 times more. And I may do that for Greenland, too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen. So I spoke to the top 10 countries. They all said no, and within about 2 minutes, they all agreed. And we were off to the races. And now we have favored nations. It's called most favored nations. So if France is paying, let's say, $20 or $30 instead of $10, we are going to pay that 20 or 30. We pay the lowest price, whatever the lowest price is. So if France is paying $100, but Germany is paying $20, we pay what Germany pays. So we go from a horrible situation on drugs, prescription drugs, to the lowest price anywhere in the world. Is that a correct statement, Oz? Because they're going to blame you. If you want to correct me, you can, but you won't be here for long if you do.
You're correct, Mr.
Oz has
President.
left employment. No, but is that a correct statement?
That's an absolutely correct statement. And that's what we want to codify in the great healthcare plan.
Yeah,
That's why it's so important.
That's
Because if the president's not here, there's a flight risk with these companies not obliging us anymore, because I think it's the strength of your personality, but also they know they will follow through with the threats if we don't act. So we believe other countries will change their opinions, and so will drug companies. So we've got to get it into legislation.
Well, if you have the wrong president, the countries have tremendous influence over us. They look, why did we go to an income tax system instead of a tariff system? We had the wealthiest nation. If you go back to the 1800s, 1887, we had money, so much money, we didn't know what to do with it. But the countries at that time, same, no different. They have a tremendous influence over this country. For whatever reason, I don't know, but they do. So if you have the wrong president, they'll change the system in 2 minutes. I mean, they'll change it. And the drug companies are very powerful, too. You have to deal with them. In this case, it was both. I mean, you had a problem with the drug companies, but you had a tougher problem, in theory, other than the fact that I understood how to deal with them. And I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king has done a great job. And I hope we win the Supreme Court case, because if we don't, be a shame for our country. Be a shame. We have a great, safe, beautiful country now. We're doing better than we've ever done. We hit 42 stock market highs during the 11-month period that I've been here. There's never been anything like it. Stock market's hitting a new high again today. So it's it's been incredible. So just to end it on this, because it's such a big subject and it can't be explained by reading. As good as my speechwriter is, he's fantastic, but he can't write it in one sentence what we're talking about. So we're going to get most favored nations. We will be taking prescription drugs down to levels never even contemplated. And that's all great for healthcare, because when you're paying a tiny fraction of what you had anticipated paying prior to today, prior to this month, this all took place over the last month and a half. And the sad part is that when we first announced it, and we did it in a little bit more general form, when we first announced it, the Times did a story on page 22 or something, way back in the little story in the back of the newspaper. This is the biggest revolution in the history of medicine in this country, because it's price. You're going to buy the drugs for a small fraction of what you were paying for them last month. And I tell the story in my first term. I was the one, after 28 years, that got drug prices down. It was either 1/4 or 1/8 of 1%. I got them down for the year. First time in 28 years. I was so proud of myself, I called a news conference. I said, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 28 years, drug prices have gone down for the year. 1/8 of a point. In fact, I had a chart. It was the worst chart I've ever seen. It was a line that went from January to December, and it was dead straight. You had to get a little, like a carpenter uses to see. I said, this doesn't look good. It's not the greatest line, but I was proud of it, because it did. It went down either 1/4 of a point or 1/8 of a point, tiny. And now think of what we're doing. We're bringing medicine down by many times. Nobody's ever seen. And there are two ways of calculating. You could say 1,000%, 2,000, or you could say 90% or 80%. The Democrats want you to say 90 or 80, but there are two ways of calculating it. You understand that, Dan? And we'll take either way, it doesn't matter. But we'll be paying a tiny fraction. So that's going to go into our plan. And what Oz said is very important. It's very important that whoever is in this office is, strong and intelligent. And if they're not, they could, it could be ended. But what we want to do is we want to have it codified, so it's very hard to change. And that's all part of the process. I think it's the greatest revolution because it's financial is, a big part of the drugs. And all of the doctors sitting there know exactly what I'm talking about. They have their patients in Europe and they say, I can't believe it. I'm buying the same thing for, 15% of what I pay in New York or in Chicago. And they're all nodding their heads. That's right. That's not going to happen anymore. We pay now, just to end it, the lowest price in the world, whatever that is, that's what the United States of America will be paying. Isn't that an amazing, long story? I was going to say long, boring. It's not boring. To me, it's long and exciting. It's the biggest thing to happen to healthcare. I don't think there's anything we can do. We can do all of our different methods, but there's nothing we can do that can ever top what we do. And the press should treat it fairly instead of not writing about it, because they don't write about it because it's me. Primarily because it's me, but also because it's Republican. And they don't write about it, and they should be ashamed. But fortunately, the public understands it, and that's why we won the election in a landslide. So it's a great thing. Instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far, by 10 times sometimes, will now pay the lowest cost paid by the lowest nation. So the lowest nation, whatever that is, I hope they negotiate a great deal. I hope somebody out there of all those nations is going to be a better negotiator than everybody else. And whatever they get, we get, Mike. Is that pretty good? Look at Mike. Even the first time I've ever seen him smile. And next, our plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending the money directly to the people. So instead of, and this started, and I'm not really a healthcare maven, but I was always a good businessman. It started, I'm reading the paper and I see the money that the insurance companies were making from us on Obamacare. And they're up by 1,000%, I think one was up 1,723%, 1,700%. And it's because of the massive amount of money that's sent to them by the United States government. And I said, why don't we just send it directly to the people instead? And I made that statement. It was a common sense statement. I didn't check with anybody. I didn't even call Oz or anybody. It just made sense. I made a statement, and it went viral. Can you believe it? It was so popular. In other words, we cut out the insurance companies. They're making a fortune. And, they're good people. They're business people. I don't blame them. But we cut them out. We pay the money directly to the people. The people love it. I said it, I said it as a non-professional in that business. And I made the statement like all of a sudden it's like the biggest story, that one, the biggest story. And I get a call from Caroline, who's around here someplace. She said, sir, we're getting inundated. Margot called me too. Margot, you called me too. Margot, everyone knows Margot. She's been here from the beginning, right from the beginning. But she said, sir, both of them. They said, sir, we're being inundated by what? You made a statement about health care being paid directly to the people into health savings accounts or whatever you want, health care accounts. And I said, I did. What's the story? He said, it's crazy. It's blown up. People loved it. And so that's where we started. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. It really was. I mean, maybe not knowingly at the time by Obama, because he didn't know much about this stuff. It was designed by other people in Congress that are total pros that are bought off by the insurance companies. And the problem we'll have with this is we'll get no Democrat votes, even though it should be very bad for them if they don't. But maybe you'll get some. You'll call some of your friends, fellas, and Bob, you'll call some of your friends over on the other side. I don't know how they can reject it. It's just so popular. It's so compelling. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich with taxpayer subsidies, and I want that extra money straight to the health savings accounts for you. And you can choose your own health care. You go out and negotiate your own health care. It makes people entrepreneurs, mini entrepreneurs. They'll pick the health care that's best for them because it's so different. A young person, they need health care for different reasons, and an old person doesn't need certain things that a young person needs, and vice versa. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen. We're getting rid of the middlemen. How long have you heard doctors, all these doctors over there, they look so smart. They're all brilliant people. I assume you're brilliant, otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? I assume we have the best. Do we have the best of the doctors? I would imagine, right? Hey, how cool is the White House? Okay? They're always in operating rooms. I wouldn't want to be in an I don't like operating rooms, but they do. But how cool is the White House, right? The coolest place on earth. And this is where it all begins. This is where we came up with a little concept about a place called Venezuela. How did that work out? And this is going to be the same thing in terms of its precision. Its importance is so big, it's going to work just like that. The one is Venezuela was so amazing, but I equate that to other things because we can do other things like that. It doesn't always have to be a Minnesota where everything is corrupt, where they have healthcare centers that nobody shows up and somebody's making millions of dollars, where they have daycare centers where there are no kids. It's a scam. It's a big scam. It's like a horrible thing. We have a country that was great. We have a country that's now great again. It's really come a long way. Make America Great Again is almost going to be obsolete because our country is very close to, we're going to keep America great. We may have to switch to keep America great. But I don't know, there's something about MAGA we should never change it. Susie said, don't change. We like MAGA. Everybody likes MAGA. So we want to make this precision, just like a Venezuela, just like the attack on the Iran nuclear weapons, which wiped that out, just like all of the other things we do, they're precision. We want to make it the opposite of Minnesota, California, and all these places that are so badly run. So to further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to those insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that you've been hearing about for so long. It also funds the so-called cost-sharing reduction program to bring down the cost of the most common plans on the exchanges by more than 15%. And next, the great health care plan mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all health care providers. We want transparency. You're not allowed to ask a doctor how much is it going to cost. You're going to have your heart ripped out, and you're not allowed to negotiate. This is a giant scam. It's, in certain ways, look, nothing can compare to most favored nations. But when you give yourself the right to negotiate, you're not allowed to even ask how much it costs. You're supposed to go into a hospital and get operated on. Then they send you a bill and you have to file for bankruptcy. Not going to let that happen. So we're going to have insurance companies and healthcare providers going to have great, and hospitals, great transparency. The word transparency is a very important word. So they can't get away with ripping you off any longer. It requires insurance companies to make it easy for you to compare plans. You got to be able to compare plans. You can't do that now. You're not allowed to do that. It's not even believable. I tell you what, I used to sit before I was a politician home, and I used to say, how is that possible? Things happen that, I guess it's just the forces of nature, the forces of power, and you end up with very, very badly treated people, and they won't stand for it. But these forces are going to release an earthquake of reduced price health care. You're going to have massively reduced costs. This is no longer we're going to cut it by the famous 1/8 of a point. You're going to have massively reduced health care, and it's going to be massively better. You're going to have great health care at a much lower price, which is the two things. We want great health care and we want low price. You're going to have great health care at low price. Now you have terrible health care at a high price. You have horrible, horrible Obamacare health care. Like everything else he did, it was crap. It was a horrible plan. It was from day one and should have never been approved. It was a very sad night that night when there was a thumb raised. Most importantly, will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices. You're going to post your prices at their place of business. Something they don't have to do, something they're not even allowed to do. We'll have the maximum price transparency, and the cost will come down just by that, not even talking about favored nations. the price will come down. So just in conclusion, I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, including rural America. And I hope to get Democrat votes. They know, they saw it. I know a lot of Democrats. And they say that plan is unbelievable. Are you going to vote? Well, I'm going to try. They have tremendous pressure on them. Vote no. Vote no. We have a couple of Republicans. Thomas Massey always votes no. He's like, something wrong with the guy. If you have any clinical psychiatrists in there, maybe go check out his mind. But he always votes no. He's a very bad person. He's a very bad Republican, bad American when you always vote no. Just vote no. Do you approve? No. You know, there's not a thing you can say to him either, Lola. Look, Lola wants to be nice. He likes to get along with everybody. I don't. But they vote no. But so I don't know. You know, you have some people that are very, I call him Rand Paul Jr. Rand Paul always votes. I don't know why he votes no, but I guess he thinks it's good politics. I got him elected twice. If I didn't endorse him, he wouldn't have been elected. But he doesn't reciprocate, and I guess that's okay. But I want to hear now, if I could, from Dr. Oz, and then we're going to have Dan Sullivan say a few words, and Rob and Mike. And Governor, you're going to say a few words, and we appreciate you being here very much. You're doing a fantastic job. I just want to leave by saying that this is the biggest thing to ever happen to healthcare in our country. It will not be covered that way by the fake news, and that's a sad thing. It will probably not be voted positively by the Democrats, and that's a sad thing. They all know how good it is. I think we can make health care into a Republican issue because the Republicans are going to be close to unanimous on this. It should be unanimous. Maybe we will be unanimous, but it'll be close. But we have a small majority. We probably need a little bit of help from the Democrats. So whatever we can do, we're going to do it. It's the biggest thing to happen to health care, maybe from the beginning. So Oz, would you take it away, please? Thank you very much.
Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you for standing up for American health care. And I just want to underline this fundamentally important issue. We need Congress to help craft the Great America Health Care Plan. And the Great Health Care Plan will work. It's a brilliantly conceived framework. And as it comes to the American people, they understand that they'll want it. And it should represent the analogous situation, similar to what you did so brilliantly last spring with the Working Families Tax Cut legislation that the President mentioned, has created the Rural Health Transformation Fund, which is why we're here today. I want to put a little bit of texture around why this is such an important issue, because the Rural Health Transformation Fund is the largest investment ever in American history in our rural communities.
Yeah, how about that?
50% increase in the amount of money that Medicaid, which Secretary Kennedy and I regulate, into our rural communities, $50 billion. You can do the math, it's $1 billion per state, and that's an important factor because it got them competing. There's 60 million rural Americans. And these folks do not have access to the same care that's available in urban and suburban America. Their life expectancy, if they're in a vulnerable situation, is 9 years shorter. Because your zip code actually is your destiny. It determines how long you're going to live, and we can make a dent in this because the high rates of chronic disease and other ailments that plague our rural areas are often driven because they don't have access to care. That's going to change because of the Sentinel legislation, and again, it's similar teams, the same leadership, same president, same Congress that passed the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, which is incredibly popular around the country and will make the great health care plan successful as well. From the day the legislation was signed to create this wonderful fund, this transformational fund, the team at CMS, which is under Secretary Kennedy, began working. And they're here today. Steph Carlton, outstanding Chief of Staff, Alina Chekai, and Emily Chan, that day started working. It was July the 4th, by the way, on the specific vision for the program. How do you actually get the money out the door in 6 months? The president was insistent. He did not want the money in Washington. So we began working closely to make sure that we'd use the money not as a Band-Aid, but to empower those closest to the challenges that rural patients face. And who are those people? The 50 people who know rural health care the best? The governors. They wanted the money out of Washington into the governor's hands, and that was done in a remarkable way. The governors thought big. We have one here from Nebraska who was actually the first to start working on community engagement, which is part of that legislation as well. But we have to right-size healthcare in rural America, and that's an important phrase. All 50 states submitted amazing ideas to transform rural health care in ways that should have been done decades ago. The CMS team awarded each team their portion of the $50 billion investment precisely with the same precision that we took Venezuela leadership, convicted individual, and with Iran as well, the same precision on time before the end of the year, and got it out of Washington into the states. Now I want to take a step back and do a little thought experiment, Mr. President, if you want to do this. If you, and God forbid this happened, had turned your head the other way in Butler, Pennsylvania, it wouldn't have been an ear injury. Now, I've been to Butler. I'm from Pennsylvania. Butler General Hospital is a good hospital. They don't have neurosurgery there. If you have an injury to the head, you have a golden hour to get cared for. You were taken to Butler General Hospital. Because the injury, thankfully, was not as lethal as it was designed to be, it wasn't a problem. But if you'd had a head injury, you could have had your life saved. But without a neurosurgeon, and there is no neurosurgeon at Butler General Hospital, unfortunately, you wouldn't have an option because Pittsburgh is a far, far ride away. That's the closest metropolitan area where there are lots of neurosurgeons. But with this bill, this legislation rather, this funding of $50 billion, Pennsylvania got its share. And they're going to be able to build telemedicine hookups, even telerobotic surgery, that would allow an injured individual in a car accident or any other reason that is a head injury in Butler General and rural hospitals across the country to be able to access the best care our nation has to offer so rural America will not suffer. That's the promise of what this money offers to our nation. It's not just paying the bills, it's not just picking up the pieces, it's actually transforming, using technology we have widely available in urban America, the way we save lives in rural America. Each state competed aggressively, because for $1 billion, Mr. President, you'll fight pretty hard. And they gave us brilliant ideas that they're talking with each other about. So we're actually creating teams that now across state lines will connect, because they're all Americans, and they base their advances on several pillars. Secretary Kennedy can talk about MAHA, because there's MAHA elements to this as well, but very precisely sustainable access. We ask states, how can we bring top care closer, like in the thought experiment I gave you for Butler General. In Pennsylvania and North Carolina, they're regional spoke models, which at hub and spoke means you've got a big hospital in the city and they adopt or work closely with some rural hospitals to solve the challenges of fragmented care. And that actually works. You share administrative back office work, you group purchase your stuff, you save money, you exchange medical records. Alabama has no OBGYNs in many of their counties. So they're doing something pretty cool. They're actually having robots do ultrasounds on these pregnant moms. So we can actually get those images back to the big center. So we know if the child has a problem and we know if that mother's at risk. We have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, in the country with the best medicine in the world. It's often stated, people ask, does healthcare stink in America? Well, they don't like it. Would you leave America to get healthcare elsewhere? Nobody leaves. We have the best healthcare if you can get to it. We don't want rural America left behind anymore. As an aside, by the way, we've talked about the most favored nation drug pricing. One of the first companies and areas we used most favored nation drug pricing is fertility drugs. That's why we're going to have so many Trump babies, because we've dropped dramatically the most expensive part of the fertility space. And so America no longer will pay so many times more. In that case, it was 10 times more for the same fertility drugs that they're available for moms who want to get pregnant in Europe. I want to thank Terry, who's here as a nurse practitioner, Andrew, is a doctor, West Virginia, New Mexico. They're representatives of the workforce in rural America. But there are only two of them here representative because we don't have enough people working in rural America. It's a big challenge. So Delaware is creating its own medical school, their first ever medical school in a rural part of the state. So that can get more local talent that will stay local in those parts of Delaware. Michigan is launching the high school to healthcare pipeline grant program. They want to take kids out of high school in Michigan, local rural communities, and get them into the system, get them trained as nurses, because they'll stay home because they're from those communities and they'll save lives for decades there. These are the types of programs that can get our rural communities and economies up to high gear and keep it that way long after this 5-year funding is done. And finally, tech innovation. Rural communities would benefit the most from high-tech advances, like we just discussed, as possibly if there was a head trauma case. Many states want to partner with our CMS data interoperability network. Was created by Amy Gleason, who spearheaded so much of the technology transformation in our government. It's going to support the president's pledge to provide transparency that he mentioned as part of the great healthcare plan. And Congress can ensure these are all available for decades to come if we can get this legislation through. As in the tech innovation forefront, just to give you a couple examples, Texas and Hawaii are making targeted investments in statewide telehealth, so everybody has telehealth. The best doctors for the best knowledge available where you are. We'll meet you where you are. If you're a vet and depressed and you're thinking of taking your life, we'll be there. Just let us know you're in trouble and we'll help. Alaska wants to deploy, and I'm going to hand it to Senator Sullivan in a second, wants to deploy unmanned pharmaceutical distribution kiosks and drones that will deliver medications, because in the North Slope of Alaska, you can't get there this time of year. So these technologies, they exist. Why are we using them in Midtown Manhattan? We should use them in rural Alaska. This administration is committed to collaborating with all 50 states, all 50, red and blue, all 50 states, to carry out bold plans to tackle the challenges that local communities face. We're not pouring funds blindly, however, into a broken system. We're going to carefully, precisely, as the president said, target this investment. With healthcare fund running rampant, and I was in Minnesota this week, Mr. President, it's worse than we've heard, but Minnesota, pardon the pun, is just the tip of the iceberg. California is the varsity team when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse. We're not going to let that happen. We want transparency for this $50 billion investment. We owe it to Capitol Hill. We owe it to this president, and we want accountability to be a top priority. For that reason, we've created an Office of Rural Health Transformation at CMS for long-term oversight. The office, led by Alina, check guide Alina again, was one of the people who helped create this program in the forefront, will guide, she was in the first administration, Mr. President. She's going to guide states in implementing their rural health transformation plans, coordinate all the federal and state partnerships, making sure there's appropriate oversight. In addition, every single state is going to have a dedicated project officer. We will be there with you. We're going to help you. Please engage us. You've got lots of lives at risk. It's a true state-federal partnership, unbelievable, extraordinary milestone for healthcare. Your zip code will no longer dictate whether you have excellent healthcare. Your zip code will no longer be your destiny. It's not going to dictate your life expectancy. Mr. President, I cannot thank you enough for the leadership that it took to get this $50 billion investment in rural healthcare. They don't make a lot of noise. They just want to get the job done. You stood up for them in Congress. God bless you for making this possible. Please do it again. Please do it again for the great health care plan. Let me hand it to Dan Sullivan, who's a spectacular member of the Senate, and obviously Alaska, they're pretty rural.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. And Mr. President, I am very honored to be here. This is a really exciting day. I want to thank you, sir, and your team. Worked really closely with Dr. Oz, Secretary Kennedy, many others. You know, this is a great example of how Congress, working closely with your administration, can achieve historic things. This is historic for our rural health care, certainly in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. You combine it with what you were talking about, sir, in terms of drug price reductions for all Americans. So these are two things that are happening right now in our historic, and I agree 100% with you, Mr. President, hasn't got a lot of press, even though it is historic. It's going to really impact people in rural America, especially my state, this fund that I want to talk about. But what you've done on the drug pricing is even...
Ben, will you get Lisa Murkowski to vote for it?
She voted for it.
No, are you going to get her to vote for the great, big, beautiful health care bill that we're doing?
When we get that, I think MFN drug pricing, I bet every member of Congress votes on that.
Are you going to get her to vote for it?
We'll work on it, sir. We'll work on it. So let me actually talk a little bit about the context of what's going on in Alaska and how this relates to it. You know, after 4 years of being locked up and shut down by the previous administration, we are on the cusp of achieving some huge goals in my state that we've been working on for decades. We have this huge resource development boom going on the north slope of Alaska. I was with a bunch of the Inupiat, Alaska Native people who live up there. They're so excited about what's happening there. We are, as you know, Mr. President, building icebreakers. We're home porting some of those in Alaska. We have huge historic infrastructure and economic and national security investments happening. In particular, the gas line that you have championed so much, the big LNG project. All of these things are happening. It's really exciting. By the way, all of these issues I just talked about, all of those were in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act, so there's a lot of excitement. But, Mr. President, in addition to a strong economy, the thousands of jobs that these projects are going to have, we have to have a strong healthcare system in every state. And rural Alaska, as you mentioned, as Dr. Oz mentioned, has often, almost always been an afterthought when it comes to investing in healthcare in America. And that's not happening anymore after the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. As you said, Mr. President, as Dr. Oz said, this is the biggest investment in rural healthcare in American history. $50 billion. The award the great state of Alaska was able to get working with Dr. Oz, and the parameters of the bill was about $1.4 billion over 5 years to transform our healthcare system. So that's really exciting, but here's the big deal. This is not just about money. This bill isn't just about money. The reason it's so impactful is that it's focused on letting states and governors design the system that they need. Alaska has many unique healthcare challenges, Mr. President, as you know, but for decades, the mentality in Washington, D.C. is this approach to one size fits all. D.C. tells every state, here's how you have to do it. And it never works. It never works. It certainly doesn't work in my state. I'll just give you one example, the federal match on Medicaid. Our state typically has the lowest match in the country, even though we have the highest healthcare costs and highest delivery costs in the country. The one size fits all doesn't work. This bill is different. This bill that we wrote with your administration is all about allowing states to design a system that works for them with CMS guidance. And this will be a generational opportunity for every state to bring health care closer to home, to make it more responsive to the people who live in that state, and make it more affordable. I'll just end with this, Mr. President. Like I said, a lot of excitement. We got Governor Dunleavy, who sends his greetings, was hosting the stakeholders in Alaska who are going to be applying for these funds, working with CMS in our state. Over the last couple of days, we have over 300 people coming to these meetings on how to use this transformation fund to better health care in Alaska. And this is going to help my constituents, it's going to help every American, and it is really exciting. And I want to thank, again, you, Mr. President, and your team.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. We're going to have to go very fast. We're going to have to go we are way behind schedule, and I have a couple of meetings that are very important. Nothing more important than this, but let's go. Come on, Bob.
That was very interesting what he said right there. I got to go faster. I got a couple meetings after this. And the next meeting that he had publicly was the next part. I may show it tomorrow if it goes too long, where they named the road after him down here in West Palm Beach and right off by the airport. But in between there, I wonder if there were some other meetings, because he was supposed to talk to Tom Homan today about the Insurrection Act. So I'm wondering if that meeting is where he had to get to.
Rob?
Fire round.
Please.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. And I represent northeastern Pennsylvania. You're governor from Scranton, Pennsylvania, so never had the opportunity to meet. But I inherited a very similar problem. But before I was even sworn into office, I had two hospitals, Moses Taylor and Regional in Scranton, that were eminently facing closure. Right. And it's been, and working with Dr. Oz, Administrator Oz, and the CMS team has been absolutely incredible on so many levels. And thank you again for intervening and shepherding us through through that process. But when you're looking at Pennsylvania, we're going to receive over $193 million. In 5 years, it'll be over $1 billion for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And when you think about northeastern Pennsylvania, clinics and regional hospitals, rural hospitals are the backbones of our communities. So making a targeted investment that is not just going to Band-Aid over poor operational procedures, it's going to actually transform rural healthcare. That's what we are so excited about. Pike County in my district is the largest growing county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where there's not a hospital. The nearest commute to a hospital is over 55 minutes away. So these are going to be funds that will be so imperative. The unprecedented investment is going to be incredible, and thank you for having me up here and being a part of this journey.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great opportunity to be here with you and your team. Dr. Oz has been a tremendous asset. The $50 billion commitment to rural health transformation is critical. New York State is going to see about $212 million in the first year, which is vital for workforce development, access to care, primary, behavioral, maternal, emergency, telemedicine, et cetera. How were we able to do it? Because we rooted out waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. Democrats will just say we cut $1 trillion in Medicaid. That's not what we did. We said you need to be eligible. You need to be a citizen. You need to work if you are able-bodied without dependent children. We reined in the provider tax and state-directed payments, which have exploded over years. And we are taking this money, not only preserving Medicaid for the IDD community, our seniors, our children, our single mothers, but we're investing it in rural health. When you look at Obamacare, health insurance premiums have risen 96% since Obamacare took effect. Insurance revenues up 2,000%. Mr. President, you are 1,000% correct that the insurance companies are the problem. They wrote Obamacare. It's to their benefit, and the American people are being screwed. And so we can get a bipartisan agreement on what you are trying to do. When it comes to lowering drug prices, I will tell you, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies is in my district in Westchester County. I met with them in 2024 and I said, what would you do to lower drug prices? And the response was, go after the European price controls. You are spot on taking on the price controls that have been put in place. Most favored nation is the single best thing we can do to lower prescription drug prices here in America. The pharmaceutical companies will tell you that privately. And that is the fundamental fact. We need to go after PBM reform. Associated health care plans, we put that on the floor. Every Democrat voted against it, every Republican for it. Those would reduce costs by 11% because businesses, small businesses, would be able to pool together and purchase health care plans at a lower rate. We need to go after the PBMs and make sure that insurance companies are not owning providers and owning PBMs. That is what is driving up the cost of health care in this country. You've talked about IVF. I've been a big champion on this. We need to make sure the insurance companies cover it. I also have a tax bill to provide tax incentives to Americans, and what you have done to lower IVF costs on the drugs is critical. And you are 1,000% correct on expanding HSAs. I fundamentally believe that we can address the issues with Obamacare, make sure that the American people have access to care at a lower rate. We can get a bipartisan agreement to address the EPTC with expansion of HSAs so that the money goes to the people and not the insurance companies. We are committed to working to get this done, and I thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.
Mr. President, gigantic thank you, and thank you for your incredible leadership. Your courage gives me more courage to say it the way it is. We're working very hard in Nebraska to run government like a business. This investment into rural America, which, by the way, in all of Nebraska, you poll 85%. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the other 15, but your 85 is a pretty good number. I think, be very, very brief. This plan will allow us to do common sense, pragmatic investments in rural Nebraska, and they will be sustainable. We will make sure that we don't need another dollar after 5 years. We are working on simple things like food. Real food is good medicine. We're working on making sure that all of our veterans, Nebraska is 500 miles long, 250 miles wide, no longer are veterans going to have to drive to Omaha to get care. We're going to take care of our veterans at home. Investments in technology so we can educate our children in rural Nebraska to provide health care are really, really important issues. And I think that the other is we've developed what we call 6 Regions, 1 Nebraska, and that will focus and take advantage of those. So we're working on what we have and then being able to use these resources to also help us with mental health and drug care as well. So we're incredibly grateful. Nebraska, we work hard. We're about faith, family, hard work, the American dream, and we don't ask for much help in rural Nebraska. So we're really grateful for this investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. 1 minute.
How about 30 seconds? How about 30 seconds, sir? As a small town kid from Glen Rose, Texas, population 1,200, where I grew up, what you are doing today changes everything. And on behalf of our farmers and our ranchers in rural America, it is a new day, and we're so grateful. The final thing I'll say is I think about Abraham Lincoln, who also sat in this room, and I think about other presidents throughout American history. And you think about how the fundamental course of American history has changed in certain pivot points throughout history. I think about you as the peace president. 8 wars solved, more coming. I think about you as the security president, a border that is secure for the first time and more than any time in American history. I think about you as the prosperity president. We talk about, Kevin, wages going up.
We'll give her more than
down.
1 minute. In fact,
oh no, I'm almost done.
she can speak as long as she wants.
I'm almost done. The prosperity president and what's happening. Think about you as the affordability president. Everything is coming down. Inflation is coming down. The cost of groceries is coming down. Fuel, housing, etc. And sir, today, in the last 2 weeks, you will go down in history as the greatest president for the health of this country in history. Think about our new dietary guidelines from Bobby Kennedy and I, but with your leadership, putting real food back in the middle of our health care conversation. Whole milk for healthy kids with those dairy farmers 2 days ago. We were in Pennsylvania talking about it yesterday. And today, putting the patient and the doctor back in charge of health care with great leaders like Governor Pillen. God bless you,
Thank
your
you very
leadership,
much.
and all of our leaders. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been a great And Terry and Andrew, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I hear you're just outstanding people and have really helped. We appreciate it. You want to say something?
Thank you, President Trump, and I would just echo everything that's been said here. Thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm from the northwest corner of New Mexico. We also work with the Navajo Nation,
Right.
and so we have a lot of rural areas in our state and in our county. I'm also a county commissioner, so I take as being a nurse practitioner, a county commissioner, with a heavy weight in order to see this happen. And it will help produce accessibility, which is a huge thing. People have to drive for miles in order to see a health care provider, workforce, quality care, and sustainability for our hospitals. That's what we're looking at. We meet next week in Santa Fe with our legislators. And so we're going to be addressing the licensure compact as well.
And they've got to clean up their elections in New Mexico.
We're working.
Because those elections are so corrupt, it's incredible. If they clean it up, we win by a lot, but they are really corrupt elections. So I think if you want to do this, you have to tell them to start working on that. It's unbelievably one of the more corrupt states in terms of that. But you uncorrupted, so I appreciate you being here.
Well, the
today.
Northwest Corner loves you.
I know.
Thank you.
I know we have great love in New Mexico, but it's the elections are so corrupt. Not much you can do about it. We have that with numerous states. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much. You have anything to say?
Mr. President, thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here to represent my community. I'm from Northwest Georgia. I grew up in West Virginia. To represent my colleagues and my profession, it's truly an honor. This is so important to our patients, to put the physician and the patient back together and take everything else out of the middle. I practice in cardiology. Having efficient, effective, high-quality care is so important, and time is of the essence, and patients need to be able to have close proximity to their doctors to get the care that they deserve. Quality of care shouldn't matter about the zip code. We should be able to do what we are best at and take care of our patients on an equal playing field, and this certainly helps that. I greatly appreciate all that you've done for the American people. You are an inspiration to us. You make us believe no problem is too big to solve. I mean, you are a representative of that. And I thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. And thank you for putting healthcare at the forefront. It's so important to every patient and every family that we take care of.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Great job. Great job you both do. Amazing. I've heard unbelievable things. And doctors in particular, thank you very much for being here. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. It's a big story. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
All right, so I was watching the feed at the same time I was watching that. That is a huge, big deal, especially if you live outside of a major city, if you're in a rural area. I think it's very important. People are going to get medical care. The whole thing with most favored nations, I notice the media doesn't talk about it much, but basically if you get a drug cheaper in Mexico, the pharmaceutical company can't charge United States consumers any different. Again, it brings the price down. If you're sitting back and looking at all the stuff he's doing from a 30,000 foot view, what he's doing is taking all of the ability for the deep state to suck in cash. And one by one, if you've got a scorecard at home and you're taking all the different things, starting way back with USAID, PBS, the Somali, I mean, all the stuff that they're cutting is going to leave no room for the bad guys to grab onto some money. Even though a judge yesterday said that you can't stop the payments to SNAP, even though you know it's a fraud. So I'm expecting that they'll just ignore that and do something with that judge. And I know many, many, many of you have been waiting for arrest. But I think this was a very good way to do it, to go about getting the money, turning off the spigot everywhere. And if there are 58% of Americans who think that his presidency has been a failure, then they're not paying attention, or they're, polling the wrong people. Before I get to the next part, just wanted to let you know there is so much stuff happening. Pam Bondi just posted and said that, quote, nobody is above the law, which of course means everybody's like, well, then do something about it if nobody's above the law. Tim Walz and Jacob Fry are now under criminal federal investigation for obstruction with ICE. So much happening. I mean, literally so much happening. So this next piece is just, it's not too long, but it's President Trump down here in South Florida, right outside of Mar-a-Lago in West Palm Beach by the airport, had a road designated as Donald Trump Boulevard.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Florida State Representative Meg Weinberger. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Well, I am honored to stand before you as the sponsor of the legislation that established President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. But I have to be honest and give credit where credit is due. Where's my husband? Just after the election, my husband, Eric, actually said, Meg, you need to rename Southern Boulevard President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. And I immediately maybe snapped at him and said, Eric, give me a few minutes. I'm a freshman. I need some time. But after a few minutes to process, I realized he was right, which is rare in our marriage. I might point that out. But I realized that it also needed to happen. This is something that was a great idea. I'm in this role because of our good friend who is here today, FHP Director Dave Kerner, he reached out to me and told me, Meg, our state needs more servant leaders that care. And I'm here because President Trump spoke common sense when common sense was completely under attack. So I'm so grateful to be a warrior here for you, sir, and to have honestly, I never thought I'd be in this role. Just a mom rescuing a lot of animals and listening to you speak, President Trump. You speak common sense. You speak exactly what the people want and have been wanting to hear for many, many years. Thank you. Thank you. When I first filed the language, though, I was told it wasn't allowed, that we couldn't do this. But I am the youngest of four, and my father did coin me the nudge, so it served me well in the Florida House. Determination. I will have to tell you that it was not just me. There were so many members that, we would kind of have, the bill naming, the process is so interesting. It was first my bill. It rolls into the road naming bill, and from there it goes to the House and the Senate. So there's so many people that are involved. Speaker Perez, you're such an incredible supporter. In fact, in your inaugural remarks, you said this is a member-driven process, and this is exactly what this is, a member-driven process. This was exactly how it played out.
So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight where Southern Boulevard is. I mentioned that it's by the airport. It is a huge east-west artery in West Palm Beach. There's Okeechobee Boulevard, and the other big one is Southern Boulevard, and it goes right past the airport. And so what they've done is they've renamed a section, not the entire Southern Boulevard, because it basically goes all the way out to the Everglades. They've renamed the section from the airport all the way in front of, to across the water to Mar-a-Lago. So anybody driving on that road from Palm Beach International Airport all the way to basically the Intercoastal and over the bridge are now going to be driving on Donald J. Trump Boulevard, President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. So as I put in the comments, I just wonder how many times they're going to replace the sign, or are we going to have libtards that, don't want to drive on the road? I would love to see what their reaction is going to be.
We had Representative Nix, Representative Brannon, Senator President Albritton in the Senate, and other senators, and so many members and staff that really worked hard to make this happen. I'm a woman of faith, and I want to say Romans 13:7 says, "Give honor and respect to all those whom it is due." And President Trump, today we're doing exactly that. We need to honor and respect you and your family for everything that you have done for us in our country. So thank you. I want to thank you to all the officials that voted and helped make this happen. It doesn't just even happen in the state. As I learned as a freshman, you have to then go through many municipalities, which was a learning process for me as well. But I want to thank my staff, Kate, Lex, and Alexander. You guys are all rock stars. I'm so grateful to have you part of my team. President Donald J. Trump Boulevard now stands as a permanent reminder for courage, leadership, and unapologetic patriotism. I am proud to have played a role in to make that happen. And I'm looking forward to the airport where greatness takes off. You like that? Where greatness takes off? It is truly my honor to introduce the most incredible president of our lifetime, President Donald J. Trump.
That is something that's very special. That was a beautiful introduction, and it was from the heart. I could see that. Sometimes I get introduced not from the heart. We know that. We know about that, Danny. But this was amazing to see so many dignitaries, political leaders.
Before he gets into his speech, I want you to recognize what you've just watched tonight. And I want you to contrast that with Joe Biden. This is his third appearance of the day. He started off with the health event that you just watched. Then he did a gaggle on out in front of the White House before he got onto Marine One. Then he came down here, and this is his third event of the day. And it's only 8:30. We don't know what he'll do the rest of the night, but
From Florida and beyond, it's really nice. Ooh, that looks very nice that you're carrying, and that's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. That's the real deal. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All top people in this room, really amazing people. And we have a lot of media back there. We appreciate that you're here. We very much appreciate that you're here. See, I'm being nice today to the media. I think I have. But a very special thanks to State Representative Meg Weinberger. The job she's doing is amazing. And she's going to do very well politically. I used to tell her, I don't know, that's a tough race, but go do it. And she did it, and she won. And then a lot of people didn't think she was going to be able to win, beating people that were doing it for a long time. You weren't doing it for a long time, but you become a veteran very fast, and you've done very well. Congratulations. We appreciate it. They call her MAGA Meg. And now when you have that, you can never lose a race. You can't lose. People just didn't understand that you can't lose a race, right, with that. Thank you, darling. And where's your husband, by the way? Where is he, Eric?
My arm handy.
Wow. Great job. Thank you very much for that reference. That was a very important reference. Thank you, Eric, very much. And speaking of Eric, I have Eric Trump right here, who's a great guy. He's a great young guy, and he's done a fantastic job. When I'm away, I don't know, I look at, I see things happening all over the world, and the whole family has been so terrific, but Eric has been right there at the front, and I appreciate it very much. He's a great boy. We love that boy. We love that boy. Thank you, honey. Appreciate it. And I'm thrilled to be back in my home state of Florida, and this truly incredible privilege. I moved down here. I love New York, but it was just worked that way. And we won Florida so much and by so big, and it continues. We even have Club 47 here. Look at these representatives. Used to be Club 45. Then they said, I think we're going to change it to Club 47, and we're having a good time. Let me tell you, we're doing a job for our country. We're saving our country, because if they would have gotten in, this country would have been a place known as Venezuela on steroids. It would have been in big trouble. So we did a job, and so many of the people, Gina, so many of the people in the room, they helped so much. It's incredible. So I'm tremendously honored that the main boulevard from Palm Beach International Airport to the beautiful Mar-a-Lago is being renamed in my honor. That's a very important stretch. A lot of people, a lot of important people, and I don't care if they're important or not, but important and not important people travel on that road. But I love the people of Florida. I love the entire Palm Beach area. I've been here for a long time, and I want to thank you all for being here. I'll remember this amazing gesture for the rest of my life, and in particular Meg and Eric and all of the people that work so hard for this. I also want to thank a man who's amazing. He's an administrator. He's one of the most talented people in the country at what he does. Joe Abruzzo, he's here someplace. Joe, what a talented guy. There's nobody better in the whole country at what he does. And what he does is not easy, but everybody respects him and everybody listens to him, and he's got great values, but he's got a great sense of design and everything else that you need. You need a lot of capability in that job, and you have every bit of it. Thank you, Joe, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And who's that young lady? Thank you very much. Fantastic. It's good to have you both. Let me also express my gratitude to all of the members of the Florida House, many of whom I've gotten to know over the years, and The Senate, incredible people. I mean, literally incredible people who united behind the legislation granting me this great honor, including the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, who I think has a hell of a future. I don't know what you're doing, Danny, but what a future. Wow. Because he has an unlimited political future, but whatever you choose, I'm behind you 100%. You know that. Danny, thank you for a great job. Great job. And State Senator President Ben Albritton, I want to thank you, Ben. Good job you're doing. Everybody's respected in this group. You know, they get along down in Florida, although I can't say that's necessarily always the case. I guess you probably have a couple of people that you maybe not as friendly with, but you are great people. Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Along with state representatives Danny Nix, Chuck Brannon, Chip LaMarca, Mike Redondo, Juan Carlos Porras, and State Senator Debbie Mayfield. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're also pleased to be joined by many distinguished guests, including Congressman, a friend of mine for a long time, Brian Mast. Thank you, Brian. What a great guy. People love that guy. And another friend of mine and somebody, I mean, you talk about attorney generals, there's no better attorney general than this one. He better win this race because I think he's going to. I'm 407-0, and I gave him my strongest endorsement. And James Uthmeyer. So where is James? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're doing good. How are the polls doing? Pretty good? It's a blowout, but let's not say that. Let's say you're winning by one or losing by one. Doesn't make any difference. Get them out to vote, right? It was an honor to endorse you, and congratulations. Doing a great job. And I want to thank Ron, too, because Ron has been really behind this with Meg and everybody else, and we did have his back in 100%, and I appreciate it. And it's a great honor. Thank you very much. See you. Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who I've been with for a long time, right? I've been with him for a long time. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Wilton. Appreciate it very much. Executive Director of the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, Dave Kerner, who had so much to do with this. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Mayor of Palm Beach, Danielle Moore. She was a terrific woman. Where is Danielle? Thank you, Danielle. We're working on a little project. Nice, beautiful, clean, crisp water, right? Yes, sir. And she's leading it, and she's incredible, just like her mother was incredible. And oh, where's Mom? I want to see Mom. Oh, you look good. You look very good. I haven't seen a former mayor of Palm Beach and highly respected. Who's respected more, you or your mother? I don't know. It's pretty close, right? Pretty close. She says Mom is respected more. That's good. That's a daughter better say that, right? Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. That's great. Thank you, Danielle. Glad you told me she was here. Former Mayor Leslie Smith is here, who's great and a formerly very good golfer. I think she's still a good golfer. Leslie, where's Leslie? Leslie? Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. We've known each other for a long time. Incredible people. And the members of the Palm Beach Town Council are here. Thank you all very much. You do a great job. You love the town. I love the town, too. I had a lot of choice on towns, and I said, this is the town I want to be in. So we all love it, and it's an honor to have saved Mar-a-Lago. You know, most of these great houses went down. They went down rapidly. And they were subdivided into 25 homes, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you what, this was an honor. But they like me because I saved the house. Somebody said they like me because you're a great president, but they like you more because I saved Mar-a-Lago. Saving Mar-a-Lago was to them more important. Thank you very much. I like you. Thank you very much. Mayor of Palm Beach County, who I endorsed, by the way, Sarah Baxter. Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah. So we're at 407-0. We have to make sure that you're going to, but I think it's going to work out very well. Congratulations. You had so many people that said, you got to be with her. I said, I am. So good luck with the election. I know it's going to work out very well. Thank you. Good luck.
the members of the County Commission and the West Palm Beach City Commission, who are unbelievable people. They love the area. They work hard and they're good. Where are you? Can you raise your hands a little bit? Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great job you're doing. You know, we're all working together at this place. We're working on a little water project, and if we can get the water perfect, that'll be great. Mary, you're heading it up from this part of the world, and I know they're working in West Palm Beach in the area, and we'll see whether it's desalinization or filtering. There's a couple of different ways we can do it, but whatever we can do, I think it would be great. We're working along with West Palm Beach also, so thank you, and thank you, Mayor. Dan Newland is here, and Gina Loudon is here, and Linda Soch is here, and Larry and Sue Snowden are here. Thank you, Larry and Sue. Thank you. And basically, just sort of like everybody's here, and it's really something special. We're pleased to be in the same legislation as it renames another section of Southern Boulevard, a very nice section indeed. I know it well, in honor of 3 brave motorcycle deputies from the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office who were killed last year in a horrific accident. Horrible. It was a horrible situation. But I saw so much love. I saw everybody in this room was there, plus. We had a ceremony in honor of these 3 incredible people. Corporal Luis Paez Jr., who is just, Luis Paez was somebody was loved and respected by so many people. They all said, thank you for being there in honor of her, and Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller Jr. and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz. The 3 of them, what happened to them, this was unbelievable. The ceremony was one of the most beautiful and saddest ceremonies that I've ever attended. But I was deeply honored to be there. On May 1st, I bestowed the honor of first ever. These were medals that were worked on by my son, Eric, very hard. We had a great jeweler. Can I say the name of the jeweler? Tiffany. And they came up with a really incredible medal. And it's called the Medals of Sacrifice. And they did a beautiful job, and it was really led by Eric Trump. So I want to thank you, Eric, too. Thank you. And unfortunately, when certain events happen like that, and they do happen, they shouldn't happen, but they do happen, we're going to do the medal ceremony, and it's going to be something special. So today we pay tribute to them and to those to the loved ones. Some of their family members are here. We love their family members, what they went through. Those deputies will live in our hearts forever, and Florida will remember them always with the PBSO Motorman Highway. PBSO Motorman Highway. It's a great, beautiful thing. I'm going to see it every time I go up that road. Today's dedication ceremony for President Donald J. Trump Boulevard is special meaning to me, because I've always had the unique bond with the great state of Florida. We had tremendous success here. I've been part of the community for more than 40 years. We won big here in Florida all 3 times. We set every record every time. And in 2024, we swept 61 of 67 Florida counties. Nobody's ever done that, and carried the state by almost 2 million votes, which is the record. And then I was followed also, and from the governor's standpoint, with Ron, who did fantastically also. And we've turned this state, there are a few Democrats in this room, I don't want to get into this, but we've turned the state extraordinarily red, I would say, wouldn't you say? You'll find out, you're going to see. But over the past 12 months, Florida's trust and confidence has really paid off, because you made a correct choice. 1 year ago, we were, I say it, dead country. The king of Saudi Arabia, I was over in Saudi Arabia getting money for the country. He put up $2 trillion. Gave us, I'd like to invest in the United States, $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Well, you are something. What spirit you have. Laura,
Laura Loomer, thank you, honey, for being here. Appreciate it. She's, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me, the king of Saudi Arabia. He said, I can't believe it. This was a few months ago. Took back all that money for the country. He said, I can't believe this is happening because 1 year ago you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country in the world. And I use that quote all over. And it's true. We were a dead country, and now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're taking in more income than any country. We're doing better than any country. The stock market's doing better than anyone's ever seen before. We have the best stock market we've ever seen. 401ks are doing better than they've ever done before. They're up 78% in many cases. But starting on day one, we fully secured our Southern Boulevard and stopped and think of it, as we were securing Southern Boulevard, making Florida great, we're also securing a thing called the Southern Border and making that great, and we stopped the invasion of our country. So Florida's been ahead of our time. Florida was ahead, it led the way, but we stopped this was an invasion on our border. And I don't know if this is correct because it can't be correct, it's too good. But for the last 8 months, there have been no people that came into our country illegally. Now, I don't know if that's possible. How do you go from 25 million people in 4 years to 0 people? But the people, Wilton, the people that report this are Democrats. So it must be true. I mean, but it's like 8 months now, and they report it every month. No people came into our country, so I don't know, illegally. A lot of people are coming in legally. They're going through a process, but we don't want the illegal coming in. You look at what's happening in Minnesota, it's so sad. And it's so sad because ICE is taking out murderers. They're taking out drug lords. They're taking out people from mental institutions, bringing them back to their country. They're taking out the roughest people, Trinidad, Aragua. The jails are emptied out from Venezuela. Now I like Venezuela very much. I say good things. I don't talk about Venezuela in a negative. I think it's a wonderful country. It's very interesting. It's so much different. It's changed so much in literally a week. It was one of the great military maneuvers of all time. It was like flawless. It was one of the great of all time. But we're dealing with a new president. We're dealing with a lot of the people that were running the country, and they had our first thing is they said we have 50 million barrels. Hard to believe, Eric. I said, is there such a thing as 50 million barrels? 50 million barrels of oil, and we have to get it processed immediately because we have no room. Will you take it? I said, we'll take it. I didn't have to consult with anybody on that. I didn't have to call up our great Attorney General. I said, we will take it. And it's the equivalent of $5.2 billion. That was the first day. And it's now traveling nicely to the United States. And we've had a great relationship with the people that are currently they say the interim president and everybody else. And it's been, I think a lot of pressure has been released. Because, that was a great country 20 years ago, and then it went bad because it had the wrong system. It had a bad system. And we can't ever fall into a position where we have that system, because that system isn't going to work. That system can make a lot of people that are good people, bad people, or incompetent people. But we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulatory cuts in history, and the largest spending cuts in history, and that got done. We call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. We have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. People that buy a car, they get a deduction now in their interest if they buy a car and borrow money. It never happened before. Rich people that got used to taking deductions. People in middle-class situations or lower than middle class, they never got deductions on anything they get now. I think it's going to have a huge impact. We're building more factories in the United States now than at any time in our history. And we have $18 trillion being invested. We have think of that, $18 trillion more than any country has ever had by 5 times. Think of that. There's never been anything even close. 3 trillion is the record. We're going to be, I think, at over 18. Through 10 months, it was 18. We could crack 20. by the time we have our first year, which will be in a little while, January 20th. So I just, it's been amazing. We also did a couple of other things. Critical race theory and transgender insanity is out of our schools and out of our lives. And we got men out of women's sports, officially out of women's sports. And everyone said, well, that's an 80-20 issue. No, that's a 98-2 issue. I don't even think it's 98-2. Military recruitment is setting records. A year ago, and now you have to go a year and a half ago, I guess, but a year ago, military recruitment was at an all-time low, and that included for police and firemen. And now military recruitment, police and firemen, is the highest it's ever been. We have never had this many people apply for jobs. We've never seen anything like it. And we hire now on a merit-based system because we won the court case, the Supreme Court case. Everything's based now on merit. So we get people in merit as opposed to putting people in jobs that maybe shouldn't be there. Whether it's nice or not, it's how our country grew. It's how our country became great. So we have a merit-based system. In less than a year, we made 8 peace deals and ended the war in Gaza. We have peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was going to be possible. We stopped India and Pakistan from fighting, 2 nuclear nations. They say many millions of people. The Pakistani prime minister said Donald Trump saved at least 10 million people. And it was amazing, and it's an honor. And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity with Operation Midnight Hammer. That was another operation that was incredible. And then you have al-Baghdadi. We got out. That's the founder of ISIS, was rebuilding ISIS. We got him. And Soleimani, he's the one, the roadside bomb. And frankly, he was a strong general. And maybe we wouldn't have been so successful. I think we would have, but maybe we wouldn't have been so successful in Iran had he been around. But he destroyed a lot of lives and a lot of young people that walk around with no legs, no arms, a face that was just, just smashed. He was the father of the roadside bomb, and he knew how to do it. We got him. And as I announced earlier this month, from right here at Mar-a-Lago, we apprehended the outlaw known as dictator Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela for his crimes against the United States and the rest of the world. And actually, no other nation in the world could have done that. And they actually admit that. There's no other nation could have done what we did a week ago. Every single day of my administration, I will continue to put America first and fight for the great state of Florida. I love this state. Special place. I don't know. It's just special. You know it. I know it. A lot of people know because a lot of people are coming here. So that when people see that the beautiful sign is all lit up nice at night and it says Donald J. Trump Boulevard, they'll be filled with pride. Just pride, not in me, pride in our country, pride in this state, because our nation will be stronger, richer, and more successful, which is what it is right now. We're stronger, richer, and more successful than we have ever been before. And I didn't know the big surprises that we could do this quickly. I thought it would take us a couple of years maybe, but we did it very quickly. I mean, it's been 11 months, and we've never had anything like it. More factories, more everything. There's never been anything like what we've done. And that means car factories, too, not just the AI. The AI is unbelievable what's happening there. We're leading China by a lot, but we're building more car factories than at any time in the history of our country. Who would think that? And that's largely because of tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariff. It's a pretty simple formula. China became powerful because of that. They don't want to pay the tariff, but it only works really here. It works best here, what a lot of people don't understand. It doesn't work in most countries, but here it works great. So because of that, we have more things happening than we've ever had, and I think you're going to see an explosion. You already see it, in all fairness, but this next year could be just an explosion of success. So once again, I want to express my gratitude to every official who contributed to this great honor, in particular Meg, who's an incredible, what a future. She's got a good future too, Daddy, right? Come on. And I want to thank especially my son, and I want to thank the great people of Florida. This is just an amazing day for me, and it's an amazing place. And we're going to have 3 more great years, but hopefully we're going to have many, many decades of greatness in this country.
so we have it off to the right start. Thank you all very much. What an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it. Wow.
Special way.
Okay.
You've done this forever.
That's a serious sign. Wilton, you want to come up here? Look at that. Come on. I don't know if you're going to compete with it, Wilton. This is, all of a sudden, you're looking a little bit squeezy here. Let's see. Good.
We had it made for you.
Oh, that's great. Wow. I love that. Greatest president in our lifetime. Wilton, how old are you? That's not very long. And you do a great job, too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you all very much. You know, we have a wedding here now. So they said, sir, is there any way you can move it quickly? I said, I'm not moving it quickly. Wait on. And the people getting married were outside, and they said, take your time, sir. This is an honor. So it's sort of cute. Have a good time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I got half a mind to drive up there tomorrow and see. I wonder if there could be people lining the street screaming. Probably as soon as they put the sign up. Oh, they got to. If they announce in the local news down here when they're actually putting the sign up, I am definitely going to go because I'm pretty sure there'll be people screaming in the street. Thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out for the 3 hours of that show. There's just so much. I just tried to pack it all in one show. Before I go, I want to show you how desperate the left is, how desperate the judges are. All right, so breaking news, a federal judge in Minnesota has ordered restrictions on tactics that ICE can use against protesters who aren't suspected of committing crimes, including stopping cars that aren't obstructing. It says, if you can see, federal agents are hereby enjoined against retaliating against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructed protests, arresting or detaining people who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructed protests. It goes on, but it qualifies everything with who aren't engaged in, bad stuff. Every single one of them. Don't use pepper spray on peaceful people. There is no such thing as peaceful protesting. And by the way, who's going to enforce it? Good luck with that. These people are just complete nutbags. It's like the weirdest court order I've ever seen. You mean the stuff, you don't want us to do the stuff that's already against the law. So I think where we're headed with all of this is somebody is going to have to determine what peaceful protesting is. That would be very interesting. The first time somebody gets blasted in the face with some pepper spray, I was just peacefully protesting. Really? Really? The video will obviously show otherwise. So on President Trump's schedule for tomorrow is only one event at 3 o'clock or 3:30. He's meeting with the Slovakian president. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I probably won't be taking that live. I'll probably record that because I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about tomorrow. And I'm just wondering if tomorrow is going to be something, it seems like lately every single Saturday has been absolutely crazy. So we'll see about that. All right. And also, tomorrow? No, Sunday morning, Robin gets home. Woohoo, great. I can't wait for that. All right, let me just super chats and get you guys out of here. Thank you guys for being here. Hold on. What are we doing? Wait a second. Okay. I got to move this down and let's go. All right, Pekovsky. Wow, Pekovsky hit 4 in a row. Confusing. Thank you. And then, oh my God, sitting on needles. Erwin, always appreciate your time bringing us up to the truth. And I appreciate you guys for sitting through it and talking with each other. Some people had seen some of that stuff, some people hadn't. So I just wanted to make sure I bring as much of this content to you as possible. Nikki, Barry, some scary things are coming. Everyone needs to get into the Word of God. Yep, I agree. I agree. That's why I'm not afraid of AI. What you just said is exactly it. That's why I'm not afraid of AI, because of what you just said. I go to the Word, I talk to Robin, I talk to Pastor, and I'm like, okay, I put on the full armor, so I don't worry. Pekoski, AI, yay. Letitia, Barry, it's always a pleasure seeing how your show. After seeing that Nick Shirley video, I'm keeping him and his crew in prayer. So much evil out there. May God protect us all. Indeed. Billy Walker, hey Barry, how about some social media pointers? I think it would be awesome to hear from you about YouTube and X. I can give you one big one about X right now. Start writing articles. They just released tonight that they're going to monetize and put a preference on actual articles, not the short little tweets, not the sharing of videos, but people who write articles. And if you don't have article ability, I think you have to be a paid member. But if you're writing articles, you have a chance to get some monetization. There's a way you can increase your money, your income. Simply write articles. If you write articles and you're monetized, you won't make a lot at first because you don't have a lot of eyeballs on it, but you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time, so you can just continue to do those things. Oh, what did I just do there? Did I put the wrong? Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Okay. Victor says, not to be ignorant, there are only 4 things in my book that are okay to be proud of. In one, self, the truth, family, and one's close friends. Anything else is just spontaneous expression love. I thought you said there were 4. Did I miss something? In oneself, 1. The truth, 2. Family, 3. And one's close friend, 4. Okay, those are the 4. Well, I could agree with that. Ruth, people who won't learn to use AI are more likely to be used by AI. Good saying. Exactly. You are completely right. Brian, I can't remember which one, Alzheimer's or dementia. Ice cream is good for one of those. I have written 3 songs and checked sports card values on Grok. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Are you using that AI that makes songs? Man, there's been some really cool songs that have made with that AI. You can go in and say, make it after, make it similar to this. You can write your own articles. Here's a voice I want to use. I've heard some pretty cool songs like that. Demon of Cybertron, the AI program I use is actually the one giving me lessons and quizzes on how to program on Python. I did this while watching Barry. I actually learned. Very good. Very good. Python, that's a computer language, I believe. Awesome. Something you could actually make money on. Nathan, I have recently used AI Grok to help me find missing links in my genealogy. Wow. That's pretty cool. Great job, Barry. Thomas says, don't know how to use Grok. Well, you got to go on X, and I'm not sure if it's free at all levels, but if you just ask it, and there are plenty prompts out there. If you search Grok prompts, you'll see a whole lot of prompts that people are using. Elon puts out a ton. Elon puts out so many prompts. I mean, his pictures are weird. It's always of chicks and stuff, but he's making these 5, 6, 7 second videos just from a prompt. CLW, no rebate checks till SCOTUS decision on tariffs. Yeah, I can see that. Let me see here. Nathan Hardcastle, just think of it, for millennia's information has been denied to billions of people. Now whatever you want to know or know how to do is at your fingertips. Bingo. Melvin Blodgett, maintain American greatness always. And by the way, when I looked away, when notification come up, they're all screaming because the judge says you can't do this and do that, and they don't even realize what the judge said. You already can't do to peaceful protesters. BF Thompson, thank you. Mr. Jeerley, thank you, Barry. Big Island, Hawaii. Mahalo, bro. Mahalo. AI Phelps, AI has been here for a very long time. Open your eyes, the blind will see soon. You sound like you know. Tania, Barry, off topic. Do you know what ever happened to Tommy, the one who played guitar? He hasn't been here in a long time. Some of us were wondering. How do I say this nicely? There's no way to say it nicely. I'll let SB, if SB can maybe tell you what happened. He's no longer in the community for a number of reasons, and I don't want to really get into it. It's hard to talk about, but SB, maybe you can fill her in. Mariah, President Trump's energy is amazing. He keeps going and going and going. Thank you, Barry. Exactly, all day long. And, Barry, just thanks for all you do for us. God bless. And team, please send more Bibles. Oh, let me just tell you about the Bibles. We got a bunch of a shipment coming in on the 20th, a big shipment. So, and Robin will get back from Las Vegas and she will work to get out a whole bunch of Bibles to some of the people who have been waiting. And then at the same time, our website, consulting lady, she'll be working on that over the next 7 days, and we'll be ready to do some big things online as well. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go eat dinner. The dogs have actually been good tonight. They're just chilling back here, so that tells me they're gonna be raring to go as soon as I stand up. All right, thank you guys for tuning in.
you.